There we go. Oh god. I love to start stream and immediately have my throat clogged. Hello friends and bees and friends who are also bees. Sorry if you can hear the motorcycle outside. And welcome to this week's Indie Thursday stream. This week we are continuing our playthrough of Higurashi When They Cry, Matsuribayashi. I am fairly certain, though not 100% certain, that we're coming up near to the end. So I'm intrigued to see how things continue. Waggles eyebrows dramatically. So I just realised I spilled water all down my my sweatshirt, which is annoying. Let's hop over to the gamed play, shall we? Move that up slightly. And let's hop straight in. Finally, we are free of transition Mion. Let me know if the game audio is too quiet, by the way. I can't tell because I've lost hearing in one of my ears, which means that my sense of like audio leveling is completely gone. More so than it was before. So when we left off, we were coming up very close to the festival, and everyone knows what's going on with Rika. Rika and Satoko are hiding in Mion's underground bunker, and everyone else is going to try their hardest to not let Rika die of death this year. The preparation for tomorrow's festival is moving right along at the Frude Shrine. Vans and pickup trucks are bringing in tents and equipment, and the village youth group and some middle-aged men are unloading them. I heard Rika's really sick. I hope she's okay. I heard she didn't go to school again today. I hope she gets better soon. Dr. Irie, how is Rika doing? Well, she had a bad cold, but she's starting to get better. She still needs to take it easy though. I just went to see them and told them to stay in bed. I see. Satoko is sick too, huh? With both of them staying home and sick together, I'm sure they can't help but play around. Considering they got sick at the same time, Rika and Satoko are really close, huh? Mr. Kimiyoshi, Dr. Irie just told us that Rika and Satoko are starting to get better. Oh, I see. That's good. By the way, about tomorrow's performance, you don't think she'll be able to do it, do you? She says she's going to anyway. If you asked her, I'm sure she'd be more than happy to oblige. But as a doctor, even if she didn't have a fever today, I'd rather not let her do it. That's no good. Zorio, Rika's getting better, but she still has to stay in bed. Well then, we can't force her and then see her collapse during the ceremony. People will say it's the curse of Oyashiro-sama. I never worked out a voice for her. I've not got any at all single voice for her. Well, the villagers are really worried. They say there might be a curse again this year. Besides, it's Satoko, Hodro, and Rika, you know? Some people are imagining some really horrible things. Nitwits. Rika's the reincarnation of Oyashiro-sama. If she was cursed, this whole village would perish. Don't even suggest things like that. No, you're right, I'm sorry. Dr. Irie, can I go see them? Please, let them rest for a while. They're recovering, and they're at an age where they'll want to play. Someone visiting them would be too stimulating, and they're sure to get out of bed. I see. Guess I shouldn't, eh? Doctor, please take care of them, alright? Not just Rika, but Satoko too. Really? That's surprising. Oreo always acts as if she doesn't even see Satoko. But she just asked me to take care of Satoko too. Sure, absolutely. I'll make both Rika and Satoko better. You can count on me. Something happens, people will say it's the curse of Oyashiro-sama. Hey, Dr. Irie, don't you think it's foolish to talk about things like curses when we're in the 80s? When people have gone to the moon? Yes, I do. During the dam conflict, we use stories like that for our own needs. The dam conflict is over now, but as long as we keep talking about the curse, it will never end. Are you saying that if Satoko dies, people will say it's the curse of the dam conflict? It's over. If a village kid gets cold, it's the elder's job to worry about her. That's all. I already know what Mizorio wants to say. I want her to actually say it, but if I made her, she might get angry. This is more than enough. When she talks about the dam conflict, she doesn't just mean the war they waged against the construction itself. She's also including how the Hojo family was ostracized after it was over. Sorry. She's saying that the dam conflict is over, including everything that happened as a result of it, and that's why she told me to take care of Satoko. I'm sure Satoko would appreciate your concern. Like that little rascal would ever understand an old person's feelings. Mizorio left, laughing. I wasn't the only one watching her leave. Mr. Kimiyoshi and some of the other elders did the same. They all understood what Mizurio wanted to say. The damn conflict was over now. Toko is a healthy girl. If she's down with a fever, it must be a terrible cold. Dr. Oye, please take care of them. Since we aren't allowed to visit them, please let both of them know how worried we all are. Sure, they'll be happy to hear that. I vowed to myself. Mr. Takano is more than likely planning something for tomorrow, taking advantage of people's belief in the curse. I can't let that happen. The curse of Oyashiro-sama will end before it can happen for a 5th time. I'm sure of that. Although doesn't it sometimes happen a few days after the festival? Like, I'm worried that they're going to use the fact that Takano fakes her own death as like, oh, we're safe. I wish he couldn't accomplish the 48-hour operation alone. He would need help from someone else. I wish he called up both Kumagai and the old man from forensics and told them everything. I know I'm repeating myself, but this is a dangerous bridge we're crossing here. If I get a simple warning, that's okay, but if I get reprimanded, they'll probably take away my pension. Hey, Oishi, I hear you always gather your colleagues at the Mahjong Parliament next door and threaten them every time you have a dangerous mission. It's the same old thing, right? Yeah, Mr. Oishi. Why don't you say, if you don't want to lose your pension, leave while I count to 10 with more oomph in your voice, like you usually do. Unless you say it that way, it just doesn't sound right. Well, this seriously is dangerous, Kuma. You really prepared to lose your pension? Why don't you count to 10 then? Fine, I'll count. If you don't want to lose your retirement money, leave before I count to 10. 1, 2, 3... Okay, I got it, Kuma, you're serious. But still, are you sure you're okay with it? Yes, I'm psyched out from what I heard from Akasaka the other day. I became a policeman because I believe in justice. Someday I want to be able to talk about the things I've been through, like Akasaka does. Dangerous mission? That sounds fantastic. I love Kuma. He's like such a nerd. Honestly, for me, one of the really surprising and sad things was that the year that Kuma died. Because that just took me, that was like completely out of the left field. I was not expecting that. I hit the wrong button. Sounds fantastic. Besides, your ideas have never failed before, so if you think this operation will succeed, then I'm all for it. How nice it is to be young. You know, Akasaka's become quite the inspiration for him. He keeps talking about how he wants to be involved in secret investigations now. Well, it's nice to be young, I guess. And what about you? I'm in. Actually, unless I help you, this operation won't succeed. Been neglecting my health all these years. Frankly, I don't think I have much longer to live. As a man, I want to do something grand before I die. My, you two sure are fearless. That's why you declare Orichi even with 3 flipped Dora. What are you saying, Oishi? Can't refuse. If you're going to cut something, cut it right in the middle. That's what you always say. He's not wrong. I get it. If you next end up on the line, I'll be responsible. I'll have to make some preparations first. You want to start this early tomorrow morning, right? I have to check with both forensics and the autopsy department. Oishi, when this is all over, you have to treat me to something big, okay? Of course. I look forward to it. But please make sure to be careful who you talk to, alright? They told me there are some spies at the police station. Don't worry, I know who I can trust. Count on me for that at least. The fact that they've said there are some spies at the police station makes me really nervous. What if Kuma turns around and betrays us? Then I feel really bad for all the times I said I liked him. Alright, I'm fired up. My detective spirit is burning bright. It had taken Oishi all night to come to a decision, but those two decided immediately. He couldn't help but question himself. Okay, I have some errands to run, so I'm going to get going. Kuma, could you please take the old man home? Thank you for coming here on your day off. Don't worry about that. It's been a while since something got my blood boiling. In all the years of my life, this is the first big stage to really test my manhood. Gross. I'm not afraid. I'm going to enjoy this. Thank you very much, old man. Kuma, too. Oishi thanked them after seeing them off, although they couldn't hear. I had dinner rather just before streaming, and I think I've got some, like, crumbs stuck in my throat. Oishi stopped by a flower shop. He bought a bouquet of balloon flowers. Usually the purple ones are the most popular, and Oishi was fond of that colour too. But today he didn't buy purple flowers, but got unusual white balloon flowers instead. With a bouquet in hand, he headed to the cemetery across from the flower shop. The date was June 18th. The real anniversary would be tomorrow, but as Oishi had to work on Watanagashi every year, he usually commemorated it on the previous day instead. It was the day before the anniversary of the death of the old man, the one Oishi considered a best friend, a brother, and a father. Every year, I promise you that I'll find your right arm, but I still haven't had any luck yet. Oishi spoke to the grave. He laid the bouquet of white flowers down on top of it. But I finally got the chance to get close to the truth. You know, it's kind of funny. As it turns out, the Sonozaki family has nothing to do with it. I kept promising you year after year that I'd bring Oreo here and have a grovelling apology, but I was so wrong this whole time. I don't know what to say. Probably smack me if you were here. I thought I knew the winning tiles, and after countless safe discards, I got slammed with a bad hit. If I hadn't made that assumption and focused on filling my hand, then I might have been able to get a big one. I haven't made any progress at all. It's the same with Mahjong. I'm a fool for getting ideas into my head and then not doubting them even a bit. I wish he already had a vague idea. The way Irie had phrased it, he could already guess. There was no dark secret behind the old man's dismemberment murder. The events that followed were separate incidents. That particular murder was an individual incident, and it had nothing to do with anything else. Since the main culprit was the only one who wasn't caught, Oishi needed someone to blame, and the mysterious Sonozaki family was a perfect target. The drama of revenge that Oishi believed in never existed. I'm thinking of doing something really dangerous. Considering the risk, there isn't much in terms of reward. If anything, I might find out the truth. Sorry, I'm trying to do a thing. But I feel like I can finally forgive myself. Oishi bowed deeply to the grave, and then he heard footsteps behind him. It had to be someone else who knew the old man. That person can't come on the day of Watanagashi every year either, so they come on the day before, just like Oishi does. They always bring blue hydrangeas. Purple balloon flowers and those blue flowers don't go well together. That's the reason why Oishi always picks white ones. Usually the hydrangeas are already there by the time he arrives, but as Oishi had a secret meeting with Kumagai early in the morning, he came straight to the graveyard afterward and arrived before this person did. Visiting a grave isn't a race. It's a spiritual matter. Oishi was curious about the other person who brings flowers every year, so he looked up. Oh, there they are. They've appeared at last. Shion's finally back in the story. I've missed her. Well, are you visiting someone's grave too? Oishi stated the obvious. Sorry. But from one glance, he could guess everything. If I were to fuck about with the lights on my desk, I would simply not do it in the middle of stream. Upon seeing the hydrangeas in her arms, it all made sense. Oh my, aren't you supposed to be working? What are you doing here? Akane Sonozaki laughed as she handed a bunch of her hydrangeas to her daughter, Shion. Shion, not knowing what to do, was caught between her mother and Oishi. Hey, how long are you going to stand there? Come on, move over. Oishi moved over as told and spoke. So you're the one leaving hydrangeas every year. Aren't they beautiful? They're from my backyard. Hydrangeas are beautiful in June. Your balloon flowers are fairly unusual. White ones, huh? They're nice. Mr. Oishi, excuse me, can I put the flowers down? Shion knelt down in front of the grave and got the flowers ready. She put the hydrangeas in the vase alongside the balloon flowers. They looked beautiful in the vase together, reminding the onlookers that summer was about to start. What a coincidence. They match very well. Makes a nice contrast with the white and the blue. I saw blue hydrangeas every year I came. I thought blue flowers wouldn't go well with purple ones. I see. Then we should get along just fine, huh? Yeah, I guess. What's the matter? Anything unusual on the x-rays? You're being unusually quiet today and it's disturbing. Oh, do you think that might be it? Since you've been good to us, I'll bring some hydrangeas to your grave too, so don't worry. Oh, by the way, you still owe us at one of our shops, don't you? I'll bring a bill too. Oh boy, you two never run out of things to say, do you? Well, I don't plan on leaving this world quite yet. It won't be long till my retirement, but I'm still going strong. That's good then. As a citizen of Okonomiya, I'm glad to hear such reliable words. The conversation should have been coated in social courtesies, yet something felt a little off about it. Can you tell me one thing? The Guardians and the old man, the site manager, they didn't get along, did they? So why bring flowers for him? No, we didn't get along at all. We were mighty enemies, right, Shion? Yeah, that old geezer was a bastard that pissed me off. I bit him, I elbowed his stomach, and I even scratched up his car with a 10 yen coin. Shion, the statute of limitations isn't up yet. Shion stuck out her tongue and hid behind her mother in embarrassment. So if you hated him that much, why do you come here? Well, the damn conflict's over. Although he was our enemy, we did many unpleasant things to him too. What? You don't get it? Do you think this is the nicest artwork of Akane? The war is over now. Even in a rugby game, once a game is over, no one is on opposing sides. Nothing more than that. Akane said it as though it was a normal thing, but Oishi just couldn't understand it. First of all, they hated each other. They hated each other, they spat at each other. How could they even feel like bringing flowers to its gravesite? However, Akane said that this was normal. Their moral standards weren't matching up. Actually, you're the one I can't understand. I think the damn conflict has ended, yet in your head it's still going, isn't it? Oh no, it's over for me. I can't even imagine hearing all that noise anymore. You've got to be kidding me. Then what's wrong with the Sonozaki family visiting his gravesite? Come on, move over. I brought something for him too. Akane took out a small package from her bag and put it down in front of the grave. I see that package every year. What's in it? This is a hagi, specially made by the virago. Drinkers usually don't like sweets, so she made them without sugar. Are you saying that Ms. Oreo made a hagi for the site manager's anniversary? She does it every year. You did just say that you see it every time you come here, didn't you? Oishi was stunned. Oreo was the biggest hardliner in the Onagafuchi Guardians, so no doubt about it. Oishi had believed for a long time that she was the mastermind behind the old man's murder. Because of that, he just couldn't believe that she'd been making a hagi every year for his anniversary. Hey, don't give me that look. Let's not do this anymore, okay? Do what? Pretend that the Sonozaki family shouldn't visit the site manager's grave. It won't be long now until it's 1990. By then, even the Emperor might be dead. How much longer are you planning to drag out this war, which has already ended? Please, I don't even want to think about the damn conflict. There's nothing better than peace. The government was at fault. They should think about what they've done. But we were at fault too. That's why we have regrets. And when things are done, that's it. There's no point in dragging them out. We need to wrap up the era of our forefathers, and young people need to create a new one. What happened was unfortunate, and I regret that the old man had to die. If he was still alive, we could have shared a toast together and made up. But he's dead, so we can't reconcile. I think that's sad. Well, that is what happens when someone dies. But you're still alive. That's right, I am, and so are you. Then maybe a day will come when we can get along, huh? Well, I don't know about that. I'll get along with Akane, it's fine, she's very pretty. Shion, why don't you give this to the priest, and then wait in the car, okay? Sure. Akane took out an envelope from her pocket and gave it to Shion. Shion took the envelope, bowed to Oishi, and then ran off. During the damn conflict, I thought she was such a feisty little girl. She sure has grown up. How long do you think it's been since then? She's hit puberty, and we even went... TMI. She isn't a little girl anymore. That's how long it's been. Yeah, many years have passed. Time is dense for young people, but diluted for old folks. The old ones are the ones who don't change. But young people keep growing, and before we know it, they pass us by. Then we simply withdraw ourselves and watch over them. See how it works? Yeah, I guess. I can't believe I'm getting a talking to from the demon princess of Shishibone, Akane Sonozaki. Hey, I can't believe you still remember that name. I'm a lady of Shishibone nowadays, you know? I'd appreciate it if you kept that name to yourself. Yeah, I guess, since it's over now. That's right, it's all over. The two of them watched Shion and the priest exchange words in front of the main temple building. Both were silent, but the air between them was comforting. There was no breeze, and a cabbage-white butterfly fluttered around them. You're supposed to be at work, but how about around? Up some fresh cold sake? Maybe not today. I have to drive, and so do you, right? That's too bad. Well, maybe next time, eh? Yeah, next time. Something that had been sitting inside Oishi for a long time had started to dissipate. Something that coagulated was melting away. I better get going. Your daughter's waiting to you, right? Yes, she is. We've gone through a lot, but let's forget about it all. How about that? We'll have a party one of these days. We will. Akane turned around with a big smile on her face, but all of a sudden it changed into an impish grin. Hey, so Oishi. Since we made up just now, I got a traffic ticket yesterday and was so mad that I ripped it in half. Do you think you can do something about that? Just go to the nearest police station for that. Maybe I can give you a priority spot in the waiting line. What are friends even for, huh? Haha. The laughter echoed under the blue sky. Ooh. Making peace in this economy? Thank you for waiting, Ms. Nora. No, sorry. At the moment, I'm talking to a woman over the phone. So how's everything going? Going well. The festival is tomorrow. My Kano voice and my Takano voice are too similar. I see. That's good. First Lieutenant Tomitake will get into an accident tomorrow night. H173, the new medicine which is supposed to be destroyed, will be administered to him, and no matter what happens, it'll be a very pitiful end. What an interesting opening. We've already finished our forgery of the proceedings. It'll show that Lieutenant Colonel Iria was trying to sell your research to a foreign country so that he could continue it. And Tomitake's murder is part of that. Yes, that'll be the first step for the Board of Directors to become suspicious of the Iria Institute. We're taking care of all that, so don't worry. Also, regarding that, what should we do if it happens? If what happens? I mean, what if First Lieutenant Tomitake agrees to join us? He isn't included in the takeover operation, is he? Well, no, because he's an auditor for the board. If he becomes our ally, that might be beneficial to us. According to our analysis, even if he changes allegiance, there won't be much for us to gain. Why add another unnecessary worry to the operation? You're right. Sorry about that. I thought we might be able to use him for something, which is why I suggested it. We'll go with the original plan, then. I think that'll be better. I'll get in touch with you again. Goodbye. For a while, I kept holding the telephone receiver, lost in thought. Then I put it down and dialed a number I'd become very familiar with. Hello, Economy Hotel Okonomiya. How may I assist you? Hello, could you connect me to room 406, the one belonging to Tomitake? Please tell him Takano is calling. Sure, I'll connect you. One moment, please. The telephone operator put me on hold, leaving behind only electronic music. I waited for about a minute, and the operator came back on again. I'm sorry, the guest in room 406 isn't in the room right now. Would you like to leave a message? That's okay, I already left a few of them. Do you know when he left the hotel? Do you know when he'll be back? Oh, I'm sorry, I can't answer that. I see, I'll call again. I put down the phone before the operator finished speaking. This is the third time I've tried calling him. I left a message telling him to call me back, but he hasn't. Why? Is he out taking photographs by himself? Or is he waiting for me behind the shrine where we usually meet? Who would think I'd actually come all the way here, expecting him to be waiting for me? I'm even surprised myself. People are in the middle of setting up tomorrow's festival. Tents are being put up for food stalls, and preparations for various events are taking place. It's almost too noisy for me, what with people shouting as they work, plus noise from the batteries for the stalls. Soon I reached the back of the shrine before realising it. This is probably the best view in the whole village. This is where Jiro and I usually meet. Maybe he's waiting for me here. Of course, that's just wishful thinking. God will never grant my wishes. He only has a bit of fun by testing me. I look down at the village below, letting the breeze blow through my hair. He usually follows me around while he stays in Hinamizawa. He persistently asks if I want to go out for eat, go for a walk, or take some photographs with him. But he hasn't done any of that this visit. His behaviour towards me has changed. Maybe it's because he heard about the horrible impression I left with the new board of directors. Maybe he thinks I'm a mad scientist because of that incident. I can feel that he's gradually losing interest in me. It's because he knows that you're a murderer. But I have my own complaints too. When I don't want him around, he's so persistent, but when I need him to listen to me, I can't get a hold of him. But if I did get through to him, what would I even talk about? What could I say to him about right after talking to someone about the plan to assassinate him? Why should he even answer my call? I'm simply running wildly, and when I reach the point of no return, I want to be forgiven. And I want him to do that for me. Just because he always does whatever I want him to do, and he shows up whenever I need him. Who would forgive someone like me, someone who has nowhere to go but hell? Would he forgive me out of sympathy? No way. Well, he'll be surprised. He'll do his job and arrest me. I am a member of the STF after all, so what I'm doing is committing treason. I'm thinking about him a lot for the past few days, and just now I realised something. He's not attractive at all as a man. He has no sense of humour or good taste. He has nothing, absolutely nothing. Well, he has a belly. There's nothing appealing about him. He doesn't care about my schedule. He's persistent, and when I treat him nicely because I'm in a good mood, he becomes even more persistent. There really is absolutely nothing good about him. In Takano's view, he's a nice guy with a well-paying job. And a nice guy is in capitals, not as in a dude who is nice, but a nice guy. Despite his age, he tells me things like how the last time he held a woman's hand was when he did folk dancing at some summer camp. And he says those things to make me laugh. He's hopeless. But more than anything, I can't stand when he completely ignores my feelings. I want to be alone sometimes. I don't want to do anything sometimes. Yet he drags me out, completely ignoring how I feel. That's why, even when I'm exhausted or don't feel like doing anything, I end up going with him, which makes me laugh. I always thought that just wore me out, yet I want him to drag me around. I'll probably never feel this way again, and yet he's not here. Do I really believe I don't want to spend time with him? Maybe I've just grown used to his abundant affection. When he took me out on a day I didn't want to do anything, I was in a bad mood at first, but after a while, I started to feel better and found myself having a lot of fun. If he was with me now, would he take me out to photograph birds like always? Would he happily explain it all with his know-how, even though I didn't ask? That'd be boring and troublesome, but that's what I want right now. Do I see my grandpa in him? I love my grandpa. He gave me a purpose to life. I needed him. I loved Uncle Koizumi. He helped me with my dream. I needed him. After both of them died, maybe I just sought their aspects in him. Am I starving for a protector? Maybe I'm so traumatized by my parents' accident that I need to have someone nearby to watch over me all the time. Maybe I'm still immature. My inner child is throwing a fit because she can't put together a toy, saying that if it's going to be broken anyway, she's going to break it herself. It won't be just my problem. It'll bring about huge, irreversible tragedy. But that's the only way to prove the truth of my grandfather's work. That belief allowed me to prepare up to this point. In just a few days, the top members of government will be scrutinising my grandfather's article, and, terrified by the worst-case scenario he predicted, they'll regret cancelling our research and neglecting countermeasures as they pass their final resolution. That's when my grandfather's article will become true, his great work uplifted and his name carved into the pages of history. And then he will become a god, an eternal existence, and I will reveal the god worshipped as Oyashiro-sama to be the Hinamizawa syndrome, casting them down to earth. I'm going to complete the fifth curse of Oyashiro-sama with Jiro's death, as well as my own. I'll become the one who curses, not the one who is cursed. I'll be in the position to test instead of being tested. I will ascend to godhood. I'm going to make the curse reality, and I'm going to kick the god of this place off her throne. And then grandfather and I will be together forever. Gods don't get tested. Fate doesn't test gods. No grief will separate us. I'll be with my grandpa forever. After that, we're going to work on a research together in that study, filled with the smell of formalin. It's the thing, I feel so bad for Takano. Like, she's got mental issues up the wazoo, and she's unhealthily treating them, including really her relationship with Tomitake, which is, I don't want to say stringing him along because that's the wrong idea, but I guess like using him, especially at the moment, as like emotional first aid almost. Maybe I'm especially sensitive because that's happened to me many a time, being treated like emotional first aid and then not having it returned when I wanted it, or having, you know, whatever. Let's not get too personal on this here horror game stream, but I don't know. I feel really bad for both of them, and I do still feel bad for Takano. Like she's fucked up, but she's not like evil, you know. A scene from Happier Days. Grandpa is at his desk, writing down something. I'm in a good mood, lying on my stomach on the carpet right behind him, while flapping my legs and humming a tune. I help him with his research by organising his books as if I were playing with blocks. To return to those times is my only wish. Of course, if I could go back that far, I'd want my parents to be alive too. If I could play with my grandpa's books while listening to my mother cooking in the kitchen and my father flipping through his newspaper, that would complete my happy world. It would be my ideal childhood. But that world doesn't have a door to the outside world, so I can't go over to my friend's house, because if I did go to my friend's house, there wouldn't be anybody there when I returned. Nobody, because they'd all have died in a train accident. So I don't want an outside world. I want to stay in my house with my parents and my grandfather. I am a doctor after all. I can analyse myself. I know that what I'm wishing for is proof of my immaturity. But if I know that much, then why do I still long for a parental figure in Jiro? Even as I plan an operation which includes his death, I'm still trying to hang on to him. If I'm going to betray people so I can become a god, then I should remain a villain until my final moments. But if I'd rather be a lonely little girl, then I should remain modest and humble until my final moments. Either way, if it is my way of life, nobody can criticise me for it. Because if I believe it's right, then all I can do is go on without listening to such criticism. But I still can't decide, so I want someone to criticise me. Nobody's ever criticised my way of life. That's why I want to hear someone do it. I want someone to tell me my way of life is wrong. I want Jiro to tell me I've done such a stupid thing, and I want him to slap me. Such masochistic desires speak a great deal as to how I'm rejecting my present self. Am I really still longing for a parent? I'm too old to call myself immature. Even if I do, nobody else will. No matter how immature I am inside, people will treat me as a grown person. They will say I possess an adult's responsibility and proper judgment, and that they brought me this far already. Then I'll be judged before the devil. Will I still plead not to judge my immature self as grown up? Am I going to act that pathetically even in front of the devil? I'm already going to hell, yet I can't completely become a devil. I hate the idea of hell, yet I refuse to try and repent. My mind can only float in a lake of blood, drifting as I drown. If only Jiro was here. My mind would clear up as I played along with his insensitive chatter. Why isn't he around when I need him the most? This is the last chance I'll have to spend time with him. I hate how immature I am, becoming so insecure just because he isn't around. Emotional first aid. I found myself before the offertory box. I came here when the Irie Clinic's construction had ended, and the research at the Institute was about to begin. I remember how bravely I challenged the god of this place. I was full of hope and ambition. After going through many hardships, I finally came this far. I even vowed I'd become a god. I did so in front of the god of this place. I can vaguely recall my grandfather telling me a story similar to that. That's right, it was the story of the Tower of Babel. When there was only one language in this world, all people lived in one place with one will. In a display of their authority, they started to build a tower that would reach heaven. God got angry because these people had forgotten how to show respect to him. He believed all of man gathered to commit such an affront because they all shared one language and one will. So the communion was shattered, people were thrown into disorder, and they were given many different languages so they wouldn't be able to communicate with each other. And as they couldn't communicate with each other, many left, and the tower which challenged heaven fell to ruin. Something like that anyway. I'm not sure what the lesson is. But this is what my grandfather explained to me. Building a tower that reaches up to heaven is the greatest challenge for humans, but it is also a challenge to God. To challenge God was truly sinful, but as humans we couldn't help but test that untrodden peak. It's not easy to build a tower that's high enough to reach heaven. While they're building the tower, the people will fall into disharmony and lose their mutual understanding they once started with. The united will is thrown into disarray. This applies not just to a group of people, but can be said about one person as well. No matter how solid their will, the closer they come to heaven, the more limits God imposes on them. I find it interesting also that Takano, challenged Yashua-sama and then has but recently seen her in the form of Hanyuu, and it was horrendously insensitive about it. Maybe she sensed that, Hanyuu was her... Goodness me, Hanyuu was her opponent. Sorry, I got attacked by a yawn there for some reason. So even iron wills are sure to waver at some point. It is just too arrogant for humans to think that they can always carry out their original intentions. That must have been what my grandfather was thinking, deep down. I'm sure he lost hope many times, since nobody ever recognised the value of his research. Oh, I hit all the wrong buttons. Yet he believed in himself, and he believed that someday his work would be appreciated. Sorry. I thought I had time for a paper on Monday and I just checked, and I don't, so... joy. Maybe that was his wish, rather than reaching heaven. Grandfather realised he wouldn't be able to complete his research, and maybe he was trying to find where he could compromise. Humans can't build a tower that reaches heaven, but the story of the Tower of Babel is still around. It didn't reach heaven, but we still tell the story of the tower that challenged God. According to the story, the tower was left behind with nobody to work on it. The incomplete tower stayed in that place for a long time, never achieving its goal. But if someone were to see it, they'd realise how great it was that someone accepted that challenge and praised their name. I took over the tower from my grandfather and tried to make it reach heaven, but I ended up succumbing to the same fate. And if it's going to be destroyed anyway, I will try to destroy it myself. What am I doing? Anyway, if I hadn't tried to continue grandfather's research, his work on Hinamizawa syndrome would have remained forever. Even if it was an empty tower that nobody ever visited, someone did come by. They'd praise whoever attempted that challenge. They would have praised my grandfather. But I took over his work, and I built the tower even closer to heaven, which made God angry, and now it's going to be destroyed. The tower will become a pile of rubble. When the Institute is shut down, all of its records will be destroyed. My grandfather's wish for his work to be appreciated by someone will never be granted. I tried to make my grandfather an eternal existence, yet I ended up making that an impossibility. How can I call myself Mio Takano? Instead of inheriting the 1, 2, 3 from my grandfather and continuing the count to 3, 4, I reduced it all to 0. If it wasn't for me, my grandfather's work would have remained an empty tower. It would have stayed in this world forever. But I ruined it. I did that. I can feel myself sweating. The sweat reminds me that I've done something inexorable. When did I make a mistake? Where did I go wrong? It wasn't when I came here. It was before that. I started to walk down the wrong path long before that. If I put myself in grandfather's spot, I know. My grandfather was working on a great challenge. He built a mighty tower, and it was supposed to continue to stand there and wait for someone to appreciate it. Grandfather definitely said he wanted his work to be valued by someone, even after his death. But I misunderstood. Somewhere along the way, I made a wrong turn. I misinterpreted grandfather's wish, and I ruined it. I ruined everything. I tried to make him an eternal existence, yet I destroyed him. Grandfather built an eternal tower, yet I raised it. Where did I make a mistake? What went wrong? It's obvious. My grandfather counted to 3, and with that, it was complete. I simply tried to do more with addition, and everything collapsed, and now all of it is ruined. I shouldn't have tried to count to 4. I shouldn't have done anything. Besides, grandfather didn't even ask me to continue his research. A little girl shouldn't play in this dark study. Go outside and play with your friends. I remember my grandfather telling me things like that, but I refused, and I stayed in the study so I could help him. And eventually he stopped telling me to play outside and just enjoyed having my company while he worked. But when we first met, he used to say things like that. Then what? Living with Grandpa was the first mistake I made? Then what? When I escaped the orphanage, I shouldn't have called Grandpa. I shouldn't have found a 10-yen coin. I shouldn't have asked Grandpa to help me. Now I remember. I know where I belong. A noise of something metal striking something else is getting closer. It's getting closer and closer. I'm not allowed to fall asleep. Ah, I wasn't asleep. I just had my eyes closed. That's all. Sorry. Damn you. I'm sorry. I won't do it again. I'm sorry. Come on, damn it. Don't kick. Christ. This is the thing. This is why I feel bad for Takano. Like, she had a terrible childhood, and it very obviously meant she had completely maladjusted. And like, just the fact that like just now she said, I know where I belong, and it's you know, back in the orphanage where she was abused. I hate it. I hate it so much. It makes me really sad. And like, I know she's, you know, she's the villain of the piece, but in a way she's not really. Ultimately, Nomura is the villain. Nomura is basically completely taking advantage of her for her own political, or her faction's own political gain. And, you know, Takano's obsessiveness and her trauma and her maladjustedness and her sort of, I don't want to say pig-headedness, but almost pig-headedness is being completely, you know, completely made use of by Nomura and her faction. I'm afraid of the metal sound. Please don't kick it. I'm not being kicked, but the noise is kicking me. So please don't kick. Please don't kick the metal fence, please. My body is getting cracked. I think my body is getting cracked. All the dirty and itchy, painful things soak into those cracks, and the filth and prickling feel horrible. It's soaking into my chest, gathering together. I desperately try to resist so that it won't touch my heart, but the dirtiness and the itching grow together more and more. My whole chest is soaked, and soon enough my face will be swallowed. Even drowning in this dirtiness and itchiness, I try desperately to hold my breath so that at least my heart won't be soaked with it. Damn it! Bang. I can't hold my breath any longer. I drown in an ocean of muck. And yet, as I'm taking on the muck, my heart desperately struggles not to be tainted by it, to rise above it until my heart too sinks into the sea of grime. Only creatures that have lived on land will gasp and suffer the pain of drowning as long as they return to dry land. Creatures that have always lived in the ocean never drown. Grandpa won't come to help me. That is the best thing for me and him both. I'm Mio. I'm guessing either swear words or offences here, I don't know. When I stop struggling, there's no more noise. I don't have to hear that scary metal noise. Is it a roar or a yell? I needed to borrow strength to scream in order to come back to the present world. My body is all sweaty. It feels dirty, itchy and painful. It reminds me of that day. I can feel welts coming on as the sweat crawls down my skin. No, it's just a delusion. It can't be itchy, because all of that is long over. I take a bath every day. I scrub my body until it turns raw and red, so not even the slightest drop of that horrible filth could possibly remain. I can't help it. I remember the filth. I can only get rid of it by scratching my arm so hard it leaves marks. I can't get rid of the itching. I can't get rid of the filth. Of course I can't. I am a filthy existence. Grandpa should never have saved someone like me. Meeting me made him unhappy. I shouldn't have existed. I shouldn't have been born. I should have stayed inside that metal fence and spent my whole life there. I need to go back inside it. I should have never left. That place is where I belong. Corner me with that horrible metal noise. Crush me with that filth, itchiness and pain. And then kill me, so that I'll never meet Grandpa. Is that your wish? Yes. Much like those left behind at the top of Babel's crumbling tower, or Icarus, unable to reach heaven only to fall, that is my final wish. Bring me back inside that metal fence, and give me back the fate that's suitable for my filthy existence. The wish of a liar will never come true, but I'm not a liar. You've spoken your true wish once, yet you have yet to realise that's your greatest wish, and I cannot grant that wish just yet. You're saying that's the punishment we sinful humans face for challenging God? You should already know. The strength of your desire is what creates the future. You lack that strength. You're saying I haven't tainted myself enough? Will even the gates of hell remain shut for someone not fully committed like me? Goodness, jeez, goodness. Really an overwhelmingly poor Takano. Right. Sorry, what I was doing there was opening the wiki page so that I could read about her later, because I really feel bad. Rika, Satoko, how are you feeling? It's Irie. As Akasaka warned me, I have to be careful. Akasaka opened the door silently. How are you doing? It's bustling outside, huh? Yeah, everyone is busy getting ready for tomorrow's festival. I brought some shaved ice for you, courtesy of the refreshment stand committee. Let's have some. Thank you for that. I'll have some. Akasaka's wearing a t-shirt, but he's still drenched in sweat. All the windows have been shut, and he can't even open the curtains, so it's very hot inside. But even accounting for that, he's still sweating like mad. Look at how sweaty you are. Sure it's hot in here. Wink. No, I was exercising a little. Of course, I try to keep very quiet. I'm just staying prepared for anything, that's all. A little exercise helps refresh people. I'm sure you've been under a lot of stress for the last few days. You must be exhausted mentally, too. No, I'm used to this kind of thing. But I really appreciate you bringing in some stuff. Akasaka smiled like a happy child as he ate the strawberry-flavoured shaved ice. So, has there been anything yet? Have you heard from Tomitake? No, nothing yet. But Mr. Takano was saying she couldn't get a hold of him. That's right, he changed his hotel, huh? Do you think she's noticed something? No, I don't think she has. I told her he's probably just going around taking pictures. But it's only a matter of time before she becomes suspicious. There will be a strong wind soon, one way or another. Dr. Irie, please be very careful. Yeah, of course. By the way, I just saw Mr. Oishi, and he told me to tell you something. I explained the 48-hour operation to Akasaka. Akasaka seemed impressed with the notion, especially because I told him it came from the girls. That's a fantastic idea. That'll shake up our enemy quite a bit. It'll give Tomitake a big opportunity to find out something too. So when is the operation going to take place? That'll be decided when they meet with Oishi tonight, but since we don't have much time, it may be as early as tomorrow morning. I see. It's pretty stressful just waiting for a battle to begin. There's something we can do. We may as well just do it. Your time in Hinamizawa is limited too, so how much longer can you stay? I told Yuki I should be home by midnight on Sunday, but if the situation changes, I might have to stay here longer. She's a policeman's wife. She'll understand. You can't even call her from here, huh? Sorry to put you in this situation. Don't worry. It's not like we're newlyweds. She won't divorce me just for not calling her every night. Although he says that, it's easy to tell that Akasaka wants to hear the sound of her voice. So have there been any changes on your end? If there's anything you need, I'll bring it. I really don't need anything yet. Any changes? Well, it's hard to say. There are just too many people going in and out for the festival. Even if there's someone suspicious amongst them, I just can't tell. We should assume our enemies are hidden amongst them, so we should be on our guard. Sounds about right. By the way, the mountain dogs are starting to move, just as you said. When I asked Takano about their plans, he said he's raising the security level for the day surrounding the festival to take into account the possibility that some criminal might use the 5th year of the curse to target Rika. That's the situation right now. It almost looks like all the preparations, officially and unofficially, are going smoothly for tomorrow's festival. So you're saying tomorrow is going to be a festival in more ways than one, then? If the 48-hour operation gets underway tomorrow morning, it'll be quite the turbulent day. Yes, everything will change, starting tomorrow. June 19th, 1983. Tempestuous day that divides a peaceful world from a tragic one. Checking a thing. Bear with me. Unfortunately, June 19th this year is a Saturday, so I couldn't do a Higurashi special for the Watanagashi festival. Although maybe I will. Maybe I'll do a watch along or something, assuming I remember. It's also 2 years before my birthday, so I may be distracted doing birthday things, I don't know. The fate of the world will change on that day. I finished my secret meeting with Akasaka and left while calling up to the 2nd floor, hiccup, pretending to address the girls. When some villagers saw me do that, they asked how they were doing. They asked me about both girls, which made me happy. What Matsuribayashi said yesterday has already spread amongst the villagers. In other words, the curse of Oyashiro-sama may have already been lifted, even before tomorrow's festival. If nothing happens tomorrow, then this village is finally free from the curse and the ghost of the dam conflict. As we prepare for the upcoming battle, I realise the extent of the responsibility we've taken on. But at the same time, that gives me strength. After greeting officials under the main tent, I ran into Mr. Takano as I headed back to the clinic. It's unusual for her to be here alone. If Tomitake was with her, I could understand, but she'd never come here by herself. For a moment, I thought maybe she suspected a connection between me and Akasaka, but it doesn't seem that way. I'm relieved. This is unusual. What are you doing here? Nothing really. I'm just taking a walk. I see. It's a nice day today. I bet it's a perfect day for taking a walk. I wondered if Chihiro was taking a walk too. Those words had a strange nuance to them. Takano normally only spends time with Tomitake out of politeness. At least that's how she's been acting. So when I heard her say that, I was a little surprised. Maybe so. He's from Tokyo. I'm sure he's enjoying the fresh air and the beauty of Hinamizawa. Director, do you have any idea where he went? No, I don't. He didn't come to the meeting last night. It was a good thing someone else was there to take his place, but he should have been there. He's neglecting his job, don't you think? This is going in the wrong direction. I have to change the subject. Well, I'm sure he needed a little break, but he wanted to be alone, just like you. Yeah, I can see that. I think that went well. She didn't ask about Tomitake after that. Oof. When I look around, I can imagine how lavish the festival is going to be tomorrow. Watanagashi is the biggest festival of the year around here. It's grown in scale ever since the dam conflict ended, and this year the village festival is hitting a peak. I'm sure villagers of all ages will enjoy themselves tomorrow. Takano and I overlooked that heartwarming scene. Tomorrow looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, it will be fun. The conversation was very ironic. We both meant something different as we spoke. I could hardly wait for the festival to start. Yeah, a fun festival is about to begin. I noticed an indescribably bitter smile on her face. I hope it'll be a nice day tomorrow. After all these preparations, it'll be a shame if it rains. They've worked so hard to prepare for this grand festival. A little rain won't stop them. Yeah, I guess. There'll be a festival, no matter the weather, huh? Yes, there will be a grand festival. I'm sure of it. I wish he had agreed to participate. In other words, he'd given us the green light. Good job. But you had some difficulties. Nah, not really. They actually agreed pretty easily. Boy, how nice it is to be young. I was the only one who struggled to make a decision. Pitiful, huh? We can't turn back anymore. I'll give it everything I have. I wish he was always a man with a great presence. He seems pretty reliable when he's that determined. This will work. This operation will be a success. The enemy is unthinkably strong, but we're going on the offensive first. Just like in sumo, right? No matter how huge the opponent may be, there's a chance the entire match could be settled in an instant, with a quick shift in stance during the opening rush. See, Rika? Doesn't it feel reassuring to have this many people on your side? You're so cute. I don't intend on refuting you anymore. I was almost ready to give up just a few days ago, but now I can't believe how much the situation has evolved. Might just be possible to change our fate after all. Rika, it's not good enough. You're right. I shouldn't say we might change our fate. We will change it. We will win. We will defeat fate. In any case, then the timing of our trap is extremely important. What do you mean timing? We should act immediately. Tonight, it will have been 48 hours since Rika disappeared. The longer we wait, the better position the enemy will be in, so we should act as soon as possible. That's true. If we're too careful, that'll give them more time. Our defense ought to be cautious, but our offense ought to be bold. It's very reassuring to have both your seals of approval. So what about it, everyone? No objections. I've steeled my resolve. I'm ready any time. Is it time yet? What do you think, Toko? We should go with haste, of course, but right now might be a little too hasty. If we're to surprise them, I think we should do it more carefully. A surprise attack should take place at night. Is there any better timing than now? Calm down. You're both right. Surprise attacks usually do happen at night. But look at us now. We're still up, even though it's that dark outside, right? Night attacks were more effective when there was no electricity. Nowadays, surprise attacks don't always have to take place in the middle of the night. There's an even better time than that. 6 o'clock in the morning. Is there really a better time for a surprise attack? Ow? I understand. A daybreak sortie, right? 6 o'clock in the morning. Oh, you know some interesting terms, don't you? It's true that the worst time to call someone isn't in the middle of the night, but early in the morning. People can't even think straight when they're half asleep. Mochi, known to have full-on, apparently lucid conversations with people while asleep, then wake up several hours later and not remember a single word of them. Surprise attack at dawn. Yeah, it's a great time to do it. Yeah, I think that'll be the most effective. Knowing how Mr. Takano is, it's more than likely she'll do something to make it look like the 5th year's curse, and she'll try it tomorrow night. It's normal to try and get plenty of sleep the night before. Oh ho ho! I now know the perfect time to spring my traps. A surprise attack at dawn. It sounds badass. I've always wanted to do something like that. I'm fired up. Keiichi and Kuma would get along well. You're just like my men, Meibara. Hey, does that mean I'm the only one man in World who isn't psyched? My oh my. Alright. Ready then? 48-hour operation commences tomorrow at dawn. Question is how they'll react. We'll be confusing them, and once we see their response, we'll attack. It's a raid. Okay. As leader of this club, I now decree that the 48-hour operation is in effect. We'll carry out our tasks at 4 AM tomorrow morning. It'll get busy all of a sudden. All members should be ready for an immediate response. Prepare yourselves physically and mentally. And don't forget, the fate of Hinamizawa rides on this battle. The enemy's conspiracy could end up destroying this village. Never let that happen. Well, we'll see how the enemy will react. Will they become demons or serpents? Meep. Maybe they'll become kittens. Oh, how cute of them. I don't think so. Something huge will happen, for sure. This is like a little earthquake. One that's a forewarning of a huge tsunami. You're right. I feel that little earthquake too. But we'll create that huge tsunami, and either the village or the enemy will be swallowed by it. We'll ride that huge wave for as long as we can take. This 48-hour operation will be a shock to the enemy. They'll panic, their pace will be off, and they're guaranteed to slip up somehow. We don't know how they're going to slip up, but just knowing that they will and preparing ourselves to act gives us a full advantage. Just gonna check a thing, so bear with me. Hit the wrong button. So, there are 2 more chapters. There's this and tomorrow. Then there's extra chapter, which I'm hoping I will have unlocked. Then there's the staff room and the tips. So I don't know if we're going to get through the whole thing tonight, but we shall certainly try our hardest. I said I was going to do like an extra long stream to finish the game tonight, and then I still have reading to do for tomorrow morning's class, because I don't know how... Actually, no. I do know how to manage my time properly. It's just that I've spent the entire day working on a paper that's due in a few weeks. Just to try and get that done, because I don't know how to manage my time effectively. So, we're surrounding our enemies on this huge game board that is Hinamizawa. This festival, will start with our siege. Come on, we're ready. We're ready for June 19th, 1983. I'd love to believe it. I really would. Hey, Rika? Oops. Have this many emotions ever gathered on this day? Actually, there are always this many emotions in this world. There were always countless numbers of them gathered on this forgotten June 19th. Okay. We just never realised it, because we always looked at the world subjectively. There are so many people in this world, and each of them has a very important emotions. Those countless feelings are collecting together and giving shape to this world. With this many emotions, what kind of world will we see? What kind of fragment will be granted? Who will win, Takano or us? The time to find out is now. Let's open it. Let's open the door to June 19th of 1980 Hiccup. Wait. The achievement for this is bubble flowers, I guess. No new tips. Well, when do the tips become available? Wow. Vamonos, as they say. It was past midnight and almost dawn. The very quiet time of night where staying up late and getting up early melded together looks at camera like I'm in the office. That exact thing was happening in the offices of the Okanoki gardeners. There were only 2 people on guard duty and they were playing cards. They weren't sentries, so they really didn't need to be on guard all the time. However, they weren't allowed to fall asleep either. After the TV broadcast went off the air a little past midnight, they usually ended up playing cards. Suddenly, the phone rang. The phone was right nearby, so one of them answered immediately. Thank you for calling. This is Okanoki Gardeners. Yes. What? Suddenly, the man taking the call stood up with a jolt. He even hit his knee against the desk, but he was too panicked to care. Mood. Takano dashed into the underground security room in a hurry. I'm sorry to bother you, Major. Forget the coffee. Give me an update. You sure about this? Yes. At 4:15 AM, a body found in the Okonomiya jurisdiction was identified as R. How could that be? Ara's home sick with a cold, isn't she? You were observing her, weren't you? Major, there's more. According to an intelligent agent at Okonomiya PD, at least 48 hours had passed since her death. Takano could feel her blood freezing, starting from her feet. She just couldn't believe what was happening. At least 48 hours? At least 48 hours since the death of the Queen Carrier? Takano just couldn't understand. That can't be right. Why are the villagers still so composed? They could have developed terminal symptoms as early as after 36 hours, which was last night. But according to the intelligence agent, this is reliable information, and the station was even put under a gag order because they were fearful of the religious impact it could have on the village. What do you mean? Then who do you have observing that house? Major, our observation system is perfect. Rika Furude is there at the house. Ever since we started, she hasn't stepped out of the house once. Director Irie confirmed it himself. It's just impossible. Then how do you explain this? Police department is saying that the body is Rika, and it has been over 48 hours since her death, right? You telling me they're lying? A lie? A lie? That's it, maybe it's a mistake. I was planning to fake my death using an operative from the Gifu Police Department tonight. This is the same thing. Yes, it's a lie. It must be a mistake. Takano wasn't confused because she was still half asleep. No, Takano was afraid. Her grandfather wrote in his article that within 48 hours of the Queen Carrier's death, everyone in the village would develop terminal stage symptoms. This would mean that he had been wrong. What about everyone who believed his words? What would they think? Excuse me, Major. There's a phone call from Mrs. Nomura in Tokyo. Lady Nomura? Why is that woman calling me now? While I'm on the phone? Check the body the police found immediately. We can't, not right now. When our agents come in, we'll have them approach the station and observe what's going on. And what time is that? 5? 6? Needs to be done as soon as possible. Tell them to hurry up. Hey, good morning. Takano here. All the unit members were gathered in the office of Okanogi Gardeners, which served as a garrison for the mountain dogs in Okonomiya. There we go. I see. As soon as you find out something from the police, call both me and the Major. By the way, regarding the observation system of the R residence, why didn't you confirm that she's home? We assumed she didn't pick up the phone because she was sick with a cold. Dr. Irie went by and confirmed her presence, so we just took him at his word. Naive. So there is someone at the R residence, that's for sure, right? Yes, there is someone there. Commander, why don't we enter the residence? We still have a little time. We can't do that without approval from the Major. I'm sure she won't let us until she confirms the matter at the Okonomiya PD. In preparation for that order, increase the number of observers at the residence. At least 8 people. Commander, there'll be a festival at the shrine later today. We can observe, but I don't think it'll be possible to enter until tomorrow around midnight. Ah, shit, but lousy timing. Wait, this is too much of a coincidence, don't you think? Okanogi's rusty yet wild instincts were sounding an alarm. He sensed that someone was attacking them. He sensed that his enemy had begun to attack. He realised that the enemy had taken the initiative. People usually take a deep breath before they attack. That moment right before they strike is their most vulnerable. Okanogi assumed that whoever his enemy was, they were led by an excellent commander who knew the precise moment to strike. By the way, about First Lieutenant Tomitake, they said he didn't show at the clinic's meeting the other day. Is that right? I'll have someone check on him. Major asked me if I knew where he went. Do you think it's First Lieutenant Tomitake? Have Nightingale check his hotel room. Shit, he tricked us. Big F. Well, we can't turn back now. Then let's see what happens next. Kumagai was trembling with excitement. Kuma and Keiichi really should get together. They get along like a house on fire. Kuma, I'm going to check the communication centre. Hold down the fort. You bet. Nobody will get through here over my dead body. All I have to do now is handle the phone calls. I'm going back to my post. Kumagai, take care of this place, okay? You can count on me. Kumagai closed the door quietly and stood in front of it. This was his chance to show Oishi what he was made of. Oishi was on his way to the communication centre. All radio and communications and phone calls pass through there first. During business hours, each section answers its own phone calls, but when they aren't open, the communication centre answers them instead. How's it going here? Well, there was an outside call for forensics calling directly just a few minutes ago. Who called? It was Chief Inspector Otaka. Otaka. Oishi grinned. The enemy had started to move. They must have bribed someone inside the police department to be their spy, and he had started to move, just as they planned. Oishi was surprised to learn that it had been Otaka. Oishi had never liked him, because he constantly boasted about his academic background, and always opposed Oishi, who believes in relying on experience. They didn't get along at all well when they worked together at the prefectural police department. The phone call has ended. I'm going to ask the old man. Let's see. Hello? Oh, it's me, don't worry. So how was it? Greenhorn sure put on airs, so I just snubbed him. Idiot sure got mad. He'll come as soon as the marshal gets in. It's so like him. Can't even fight by himself. This is getting more interesting by the minute. That phone call woke me up completely. Just like you said, there are plenty of suspicious goings on out there. I can just feel it. Well, things are getting interesting now. What's up next? Hey, demons, over here. Come further in. It's us. Are we the demons? Hello, this is Tomatake. Good morning, First Lieutenant Tomatake. Sorry to bother you this early. I'm calling to let you know that the mountain dogs have made a move. Just a little while ago, all the members were called in because of an emergency. We don't know the reason yet. I see. So it's finally started. Tomatake turned on the light next to his bed and put on his glasses as he answered. Also, there's been a rumour going around in the police department over there. We haven't confirmed it yet, but the Queen Carrier's dead body was found. What? Tell me more. Supposedly, an unidentified body turned out to be Rika Furude. They say she died over 48 hours ago. It's past the time in Emergency Manual 34 even, but there's been no change in Hinamizawa so far. Have you heard anything? No, I'm in Okonomiya, so I didn't know. But that isn't possible. It must be some kind of mistake. That's what we think too, but according to our analysis, the information is very reliable and it's almost a certainty. We haven't confirmed it yet, but multiple forensic department workers have testified. But, Tomatake realised something. He realised that the Okonomiya police station was Oishi's territory. He also realised this must be the work of Rika and her friends. Tomatake tried to think calmly. Even if they didn't know who their enemy was, it's obvious the emergency manual is the signal for an explosion. So they must have come up with the idea to destroy that signal. The foundation of the emergency manual is that unless something is done about it, within 48 hours after the Queen Carrier's death, all the villagers will develop terminal stage symptoms. So if nothing happens after 48 hours, there's no need for the manual. And with that, the mountain dogs have been called in. Hello? First Lieutenant Tomatake? Sorry. Considering the current situation, it will be hard to tell if anything suspicious is happening at the Irie Institute. Please ask the Colonel to check immediately. Also, in case of an emergency, can you make sure the bloodhounds are ready to deploy? Roger that. We should have more information by 9 AM. If the mountain dogs revolt, it will become very dangerous there. Please be very cautious. Of course I'll be careful. I'll talk to you again at 9 AM. It was 6 AM. Tomatake will get another call in 3 hours. I want to know what he's found out. I really want to know. Nightingale 1 to all units. Tomatake is in room 406. Observation team, do you see anything? This is Nightingale 4, nothing from the outside. This is Nightingale 5, nothing on this floor. This is Nightingale 3. There's no sound in the room. He's probably asleep. There was a do not disturb sign on Tomatake's door. Perhaps he stayed up late last night and was planning to sleep in. This was a great chance for the Nightingales. Be sure to capture him alive. It's an order from the Major. Let's go. They tried to break into Tomatake's room quietly. Obviously, it was a simple job for them to pick a hotel room's lock. The two members at the door communicated to each other using hand sign language. Even knowing he was asleep, it would still be a good idea not to barge in. They opened the door very cautiously and very quietly. The room's interior was organised but tasteless, typical of cheap hotels. The only furnishings were a bed, a small desk, and a coin-operated TV. Or in this case, 2 beds. Clearly, only one person could stay in this room. Or 2, because there's 2 beds in this image. And there in the bed, Tomatake could not be found. What's wrong, Nightingale 3? Respond. Shit, the room is empty. It was still early in the morning, but the room was empty. What's going on? Tomatake likes to take walks and also take pictures of wild birds. Could he have gone out to do that? No, that's not it. He might have deceived us. The do not disturb sign was on the door. With that sign there, the housekeepers wouldn't come in the room, so they wouldn't know if it was empty or not. The sign had probably been on there since at least the day before. Knowing that Tomatake was planning to stay for a long period, the hotel hadn't really paid much attention. In other words, the room had been empty since then. I bet he changed hotels, expecting an attack. I see. That's why he hasn't been seen lately. Call the Major immediately. Damn it, our plan has been leaked. Okanoku realised he'd been beaten to the punch. Hee hee. The foundation of the emergency manual had collapsed, and with that, the basis of the final operation was shaky. Okanoku felt the Major had panicked and rushed into confirming what was going on too hastily. If Tomatake suspected us and went into hiding, then after caught wind of that, he was sure to come grab us by our tails. Everything is just too convenient. Shit, this must be exactly what they planned. Okanogi tried to calm himself. If he was going to investigate in secret, he could assume that Tomitake was still nearby. The department in Tokyo must be the one conducting the investigation, so he must be waiting somewhere for a report from that department. Tomitake was probably at a new hotel, probably somewhere in Okonomiya. Get in touch with Crow in Tokyo. There must be someone reporting to him regularly. Such a strange face. Also, surely some mistake, not our Crow. Your friend and mine, Crow, used to be Prince Aldrin's Crow, and his friend Glint used to be called, oh my god, I've forgotten his name. Oh my god. Something like that. Pulled pork. There we go. Who's he voiced by? Don't worry, I'm just being nosy. Surely not our Crow with its friend, pulled pork / Glint. There must be someone reporting to him regularly. Find the number they're calling. If the number is somewhere in Shishibano City, bingo. Okanogi was confident about his hunch, but if what he was thinking was correct, that means his identity was about to be exposed. It also meant his operation had failed before it even started. But it wasn't a checkmate quite yet. If he could prove that the dead body at Okonomiya police station wasn't R, then everything would go back to square one. All he had to do was capture Tomitake and check the body at the station. That was all. Commander, I got a hold of Crow. They won't be able to tell what exactly he talked about, but they can find the phone number. They just need a little time. How much time? Just a few hours, they said. Shit. They want just a few hours, huh? Told them I don't want to rush them, but they better be quick. It was a little past 6 a.m. It was already light outside, but still too early for the cicadas to start their morning chorus. They'd endured the first wave. It was now a matter of how quickly they could recover. Okanogi just hoped that the Major didn't throw a fit. Commander, a message from Crow. They're still looking into the phone number. Also, the research division's routine check-in time is at 9 a.m. 3 more hours? He looked up at the clock. Even the little things were beginning to bother Okanogi. Every time the second hand moved, he became more impatient, realizing that the check-in time was getting closer and closer. Also, Colonel Oka, head of investigations, issued a standby order to the Bloodhounds. He hasn't said anything about mission yet, though. Okay, so that means they can still stand down. If nothing happens, he can just play it off as a drill. We're okay, we still have time. More information. The head of investigations called the Chief of Staff's home line. We don't have the details. We're okay. We're still okay. It's a close call, but we're okay. The Bloodhound standby orders meant they saw a very high chance of the Irie Institute revolting. The people on site must be practically certain of it. Although it's not as difficult to execute as the emergency manual, ordering out the Bloodhounds isn't that easy. They only did so because they realised that some kind of trouble is afoot. Okanogi was sure that the people who wanted to conclude matters peacefully were trying to settle things down by saying it was just a mistake. An order to the Bloodhounds to stand by without clarifying a mission like that is a middle ground in a sense. But the head of the research division recalled the Chief of Staff. This was a very dangerous situation for the Mountain Dogs. In other words, the higher ranks of the STF, or people even higher than them, had decided that the Bloodhounds could take the field. The uniforms are hot-blooded, but the suits always push for peaceful resolution. They still hadn't decided which way they wanted to go yet. Our loss wasn't certain yet. Win or tie, everything was riding on the same table. If that was the case, the call coming in at 9 a.m. from the research division didn't bode well. Okanogi couldn't say why, but he had that impression. It was just his wild instinct doing its job. He could guess that the people in Tokyo were going to ask Tomitake about the situation in detail, and then decide what to do based on that. It was possible that the head of the division, or even the Chief of Staff himself, might come on the phone. Then the Bloodhounds might get an order as soon as the 9 a.m. phone conversation was over, which would result in his defeat. Tokyo was still unsure. Some were still thinking it was some kind of mistake, or they wanted to think it was some kind of mistake. If Tomitake didn't answer the phone, they might send some people immediately, but they wouldn't order out the Bloodhounds. Bear with me a second, I'm just gonna check a thing. Sorry, I was checking something there. Back to the game. There was a chance it could end in a draw. If they found out that the body didn't actually belong to R, then although it would corner them, they still had a good chance of winning. But they'd lose the possibility of a complete victory. Okanogi knew that Takano's clients hadn't ordered anything else, but exactly that. He didn't want to admit it, but the enemy's surprise attack had succeeded. Hang on, sorry. Bloodhounds. Okay. Commander. Shut up, calm down. They aren't sure yet. They're suspicious, but they aren't sure. We're still okay. Anyway, whoever gets information first wins. Either they find out something first, or we do. We were beaten in this surprise attack, but we haven't been annihilated. So don't you dare fly a white flag. We'll just wait. Crow will find out where Tomotake is. Our guys at the police station will expose the truth about R's death. So all we can do now is wait and endure. Excuse me, Major Takano is on the line. She sounds, extremely angry. Shit, don't have time to babysit Princess now. Hello, yes, Okanogi? Yeah, well, don't jump to conclusions. Hasn't been decided yet. Why don't you have a cup of coffee first to calm yourself down? Yeah. Okanogi tried to change the subject, while pretending to laugh, but all he could hear was Takano's frantic voice. He couldn't even understand what she was trying to say. The second hand on the clock ticked on. He was going to be able to smile at the end of it all. Today was going to be a long battle. Okanogi's instincts told him so. How are you doing? Who was it? It was our Marshal. They're gaining strength, but he's no match for me. Does he really think an office worker can win against a technician? Ha! But I'm glad he's playing golf today. If he actually came over, it would have gotten a little complicated. Did he call from a golf course? Is he working or what? I bet Utaka wanted to come over with the Marshal. He's probably real upset about now. Since an interact attack hasn't worked, you think he'll try a different one? Will Utaka come here? If he can't get a hold of the chief, he'll have to. It's almost 8:30. Main doors will open soon. Morning had finally arrived. The chorus of cicadas had begun. That familiar sound would make one think it was just another day, but it was hardly going to be normal. It wasn't just an ordinary Sunday. Oishi and his men already realised they were grazing the tip of a huge conspiracy. Knowing how Utaka is, he'll probably come through the main entrance. Yeah, that's what a guy like him would do. I'll be here to take care of the phone calls. You guys take care of him, okay? Okay, I'll go welcome him. Kuma, take care of this place. The lobby of the Okamiya police was just like that of any other police station. Could hardly be said to be a welcoming atmosphere. Ugh, sorry. Some of the tiles on the floor were broken and cracked, so sometimes people tripped on them. The spots were covered by pieces of cardboard, and there was a sign that said, "Caution, watch your step." There was also a pot with a dead plant in it. It was far from a friendly lobby. Unlike hospitals and banks, there wasn't a line of people at the counters of the police station, but there were a few sitting on a sofa waiting for the counters to open. I think last time I went to a police station, it was in the council that I used to live in, the local council, and it was the local police station was in the same building as a lot of the council worker offices. So I had to go in to fill in a form to get my name changed on the voting registry when I changed it a few years ago. And I remember it being pretty chill, to be honest. I just felt really bad because I got there at 5:30, but because there was kind of queue ahead of me, I ran there after work. I wound up staying till 6:15 when it was supposed to close at 6, and I felt so bad for the office worker who was helping me, because I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I know what it's like to be, forced to stay past your leaving time." She's like, no, it's fine. I'm like, I still feel bad. But I have no other choice. While I was there, I think there was also a couple who were being giving evidence or something about something that happened, but I don't know what it was. I think it may have been one of them got pickpocketed or the house got burgled, but I really can't remember. I was trying not to listen in because that's kind of rude, and I was also trying to gather my shit together. And they'd open soon. Some workers were standing by on the other side of the counters. Utaka was snobbish enough that Oishi didn't want to deal with him first thing in the morning. If only he was a pretty young woman. Gross. Oishi and his men were on a very important job. If Otaka, I don't know, Otaka, I'll just say that, found out that Rika Furude's death had been faked, the operation was finished. They're only able to shake up the enemy now, while Rika Furude's death is still on the books. They had to stall for every minute, every second they could, so Tomitake could seize a hold of the tail that was popping out. Wink. So if the truth about Rika Furude's death was exposed before Tomitake had that chance, the enemy would recover. The emergency manual would regain its credibility, and although the enemy wouldn't enact it immediately, they would try again for sure. Rika Furude had detected the conspiracy ahead of time, but that's a miracle. The divine wins. Japan had prevented Mongol invasions twice in the past with such miracles, but nothing like that had happened during World War II. They might not be so lucky next time. They might not get another chance. There might be no such next time at all. Unless they defeated them this time, they would never win again. While it was possible to do some serious damage, a tied game would inevitably lead to the enemy's victory. They had to completely expose what the enemy was up to, allowing Tomitake to call in a suppression unit to defeat them. So neither side can accept a partial victory. That was why Oishi had to stop their vanguard here. His job, therefore, was an extremely important one. If the enemy's conspiracy succeeded, Hinamizawa would be destroyed, and more than 2,000 villagers would be executed in a gas disaster. Either way, the incident would never go public, but people's lives depended on him. Oishi was violating his professional duties, arguably not. However, he had to do what was right. He thought back to when the old man taught him that. Someone who, despite the hot weather, was wearing a suit, came in through the automatic sliding door. He had 2 of his colleagues with him. He was showing off his authority like he always did. Good morning, Otaka. Well. Good morning, Oishi. By the way, please don't address me with such familiarity. I'm no longer in a position where you can talk to me that way. Oh, don't be like that, Otaka. We used to play mahjong together, didn't we? Otaka seemed disgusted to hear that. He used to boast about being a good mahjong player, but Oishi once beat him badly in front of many people, which hurt his pride. I'd love to have a chat with you, but I'm in a hurry today, so please excuse me. Oh, I realised why it looks weird. I accidentally hit the thing to go onto the wrong artwork. Hey, don't say that. Don't you remember the time you forgot to write certificates for the kendo tournament? You begged me to help you. I wrote them for you backstage, and that's why the award ceremony went on smoothly, didn't it? I truly appreciate that, but that has nothing to do with this right now. Oh, I didn't know you appreciated it. Haha, sorry about that. I've never heard anything like that before. Down at the prefecture station, they think I begged to write it, and that you turned the offer down and let me write it for you. Wasn't that the excuse you used when the director called you asking what happened, since my handwriting on the certificates wasn't so great? Well, I don't know. Maybe someone misunderstood. At the very least, I never said such a thing. The prefectural police headquarters may be your territory, but unfortunately this is Okonomiya PD. You won't get your own way here. And what do you mean by that, Oishi? I don't know why you're here, but your jurisdiction's in Gogura, not Okonomiya. I'd like to ask you to leave. What? Under what authority? And what authorization do you have to be here? I'm in the middle of a classified investigation on behalf of headquarters. I've heard there's an unidentified body related to that investigation here. Well then, please inquire on the phone. Okonomiya isn't a rich neighbourhood. This isn't a place where someone in a custom-made suit should be. I see. So you're ganging up with the guys in forensics, huh? Should be an order from the marshal to hand over the autopsy report to the prefectural police headquarters. Then there should have been an explanation to the marshal from the forensics department already. The body is still being examined. Because of a slip-up on our part, there's been a rumour going around that the body was already identified. Anyway, they need a little more time to finish up their report. Then I'd like to attend the autopsy. No. What? I'm requesting as the person in charge of the classified investigation at the prefectural headquarters. If that's the truth. Look, I don't want to doubt your policeman spirit. Policeman spirit is a noble one, see? Sure, no one would go into this business if they weren't getting paid for it. But, can't be a good detective without dedication that can't be measured by your pay alone. If you say you have that spirit, I'll let you through. The look in Oishi's eyes made it clear the anger that was roiling within him. As he looked into those eyes, Otaka recalled all kinds of frightening memories. Otaka didn't want Oishi to sense his fear, but he couldn't prevent himself from mildly swallowing. Okay, then please let me through. I'm here because of my policeman's spirit. Please, step aside. Why don't you make me with your policeman's spirit? Come on. What? If your policeman's spirit is as strong as mine, you should be able to brush me aside easily. Come on, Try it. Oishi was obviously saying he had no intention of letting Otaka free. How could he do this? Otaka was confused. Otaka was an elite policeman at the prefectural police headquarters. He believed academic background and performance record were enough to earn trust. He'd been working hard under that belief. But Oishi doesn't acknowledge that, and he doesn't even respect him. He's a scumbag. He was the worst type of person, one who tried to establish their meaning and purpose only through rough means, refusing to acknowledge everything about their superiors in order to protect their own pride, as uncivilized people often did. Otaka had been thinking that ever since they worked together. Why did people trust in someone like him? Why did people respect someone like him? Why did people appreciate someone like Oishi more than they did Otaka? Move. If you don't, I can accuse you of interfering with an investigation. Oh? What kind of investigation? If you tell me, I'll help you. Didn't you hear me? It's classified. Can't talk about it to someone like you. I see. Well, if you can't tell me everything, you can tell me one thing instead. What do you have resting on your shoulders? On my shoulders? What are you talking about? I have something on my shoulders. The 2,000 villagers rest there. If I let you through, there's 2,000 villagers, and their relatives as well, then we'll be very sad. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? I have no idea what you're on about. Okay, I'll tell you. Your boss is planning something terrifying. Bet you haven't thought it through that far, but it's a conspiracy theory that will make thousands of people unhappy. That conspiracy is about to crumble, and that's why they woke you up and ordered you to investigate. Don't know how much you're getting paid for this, but if that's more important than your policeman's spirit... Oishi stopped talking there, but his eyes continued to speak after that. What in the world are you talking about? Anyway, please just let me through. Otaka's baffled behaviour confirmed what Oishi had just said. He'd been bought off by someone shady. Though maybe he didn't think he was bought. Probably thought he was just fulfilling the request to confirm Rika Fude's body as a favour from someone in the information network. He assumed he built himself. Of course, the part about it being a classified investigation was a lie. But when an elite policeman from the prefectural headquarters said it was a classified investigation, everyone would grovel and salute him. But I wish he didn't salute him at all. This is a waste of my time. I'll file a formal complaint to the marshal later. But... Hey, wait a minute. I'm not done yet. As Otaka tried to walk by, Oishi grabbed him by the arm. Otaka tried to make him let it go, but Oishi was just too strong. I really have lost the ability to read English. Ow, let me go, Oishi. Oh, I'm not putting that much strength into it. If you have a policeman's spirit, they shouldn't stop you. Your unshakable righteousness should knock me down easily. But you can't even get my hand off your arm. Do you know why? Get off of me. It's because you don't have a policeman's spirit. Oishi let go of his shoulder, and Otaka tumbled onto the floor, sliding from more than... What is this? This is interference with an investigation. This is interference with a government official executing his duties. No, this is assault. Arrest him immediately. Otaka ordered his two colleagues around, but they didn't know what to do. Oishi was also a policeman, and obviously there was something more going on between them. Besides, they could sense one thing. Their instincts were telling them that Oishi was far stronger than them. They were no match at all. What's going on, Oishi? Some officers were gathering in the lobby. They all looked puzzled. Nothing much. A scream call from the prefectural headquarters demanded something selfish, so I taught them a lesson. The officers alternately looked between Oishi and Otaka. They knew something was going on, but they didn't know the circumstances, so they didn't know which one to stop. Oishi was respected by the policemen at the Okonomiya station. Everyone respected him. If Oishi said that Otaka was being selfish, then he must be at fault. Oishi was generally seen as sensible. All of them thought that Oishi would only do this in a public place like a lobby, if it was something major. Otaka was feeling humiliated to get such attention. He stood up calmly, hiding his humiliation with anger. I see. I understand your position, but I'm not here on a child's errand either. I like your spirit. I'm ready to go if you are. Bring it on, Greenhorn. Zoom into his pants. Not enough. That all you got? Damn it. So that's your policeman spirit. I have 2,000 Hinami-Zanman villagers resting on my shoulders. Lives of 2,000 people in my jurisdiction depend on me. Why don't you attack me with a spirit that's strong enough to knock down 2,000 people? It was like watching a match between a sumo wrestler and a small child. No matter how many times Otaka tried to tackle Oishi, he simply crumbled against him. Oishi stood firm, as if his feet were rooted to the earth. By the third time Otaka tumbled to the floor, he finally realised he'd been provoked. He caught his breath and fixed his hair. Okay, I'll tell you. Case I'm investigating has something to do with the Sonozaki family. I was asked by someone to check on something. Why are you beating around the bush? Can't you say it more directly than that? At any rate, the questioning the death of that girl said to be the mascot for the religion here in Hinamizawa. I have to confirm if she's dead or alive immediately. I told you. We explained that over the phone. It's still under investigation. They need more time. Well, didn't want to tell you this. The request was... I'll tell you the truth. It was requested by someone you really hate. Representative Sonozaki. Ah, that scary man with the crest on his hakama, huh? Yeah, you're right. I do hate him. If that man threatened me, I'd have to abandon logic and push his demands through too. See? Representative Sonozaki requested I check the body immediately. This is a request by a citizen. Police department was there for the citizens. Of course I accepted his request. Rika Furude isn't just any girl in Hinamizawa. She's a very special little girl. If a rumour goes around saying her dead body was found, of course someone has to confirm it, right? You do better not to say things like that in a public place. You're in a lobby, you know. Excuse me. Otaka suddenly realised his mistake. Some people were even whispering behind him. One of them spoke to Otaka hesitantly. Is it true that Rika Furude is dead? Don't worry, madam. We haven't confirmed that yet. We're from the prefectural police, and that's why we're here. That's right. It's not certain yet. We're still investigating as we speak. I'm only asking to attend the autopsy. You better think carefully. I'm here on behalf of Representative Sonozaki. If you keep interfering, I'll tell him all about it. If that happens, you'll be in a tight spot, Oishi. Don't you think it's time to surrender? Representative Sonozaki was well known in this area as an extremely tough congressman. The people who knew about him continued to whisper. Otaka grinned when he heard them whispering. He realised then that in Okonomiya, his threat was more effective than he thought it would be. Oh my, did you really ask him to do that, Sato? Sir, excuse me, did Representative Sonozaki really ask you to do that? He certainly did. Representative asked me directly. So what about it? Oishi? Isn't it time to surrender? People continued to whisper. Representative Sonozaki is a big name around here, Otaka thought. Even gangsters give way if someone mentions his name here in Okonomiya. So if you're really afraid of the representative, please let me through, Oishi. Please go to counter number 8 to get a traffic ticket reissued. Huh? When did I get a traffic ticket? Oishi suddenly started to talk about something completely different. In fact, Oishi was looking at something behind Otaka. Huh? Who was he talking to, he wondered. An old-fashioned elderly man and a lady in a kimono were standing behind him. When Otaka's eyes met with hers, she smiled at him. Hey, you. Were you really asked by Representative Sonozaki personally? Not by his secretary or someone else? Yes, of course. Representative Sonozaki and I are very close. He sometimes calls me directly. The elderly man continued to listen with a puzzled expression. Who the fuck are you? Huh? There's no need for me to introduce myself. I'm just an ordinary policeman from the prefectural police headquarters. What incredible timing. I mean... can only laugh. So I can laugh, right? I wasn't sure. Otaka couldn't understand why Oishi and this lady were laughing. What are you doing here together? Well, you know, remember that ticket? I didn't see the no left turn sign because of a tree branch, and there was a policeman on a motorcycle waiting right at the exit, and I didn't think that was fair. Sadler said I should complain, so that's why he came along today. Roadside trees at the City Hall's jurisdiction. We get those complaints pretty often, but it's a rather complicated matter. I didn't like the fact that a policeman was waiting at the exit, so I'm here to complain about it. I understand. I'll talk to the City Hall and the traffic section, so do you think you can settle this peacefully for today? If you say so, we'll leave quietly for today. When Otaka realised they were Oishi's guests, he fixed his tie and spoke up. But you have to pay for your traffic ticket. It's the law. You sure are annoying, aren't you? He is, isn't he? Sometimes he can be pretty funny, though. I'm in the middle of an important conversation with Oishi. When you're done, please get going. Have a nice day, madam. You have a nice day too, sir. The two of them grabbed Otaka's shoulders from behind. The lady grabbed his right shoulder and the elderly man grabbed his left. Mr. Prefectural Policeman, I have two things I detest in this world. Do you know what they are? One is shiitake mushrooms. I just don't like them. Never have, ever since I was born. I don't like to eat them, and I don't like their broth either. Second one is lies. I don't like to use them, and I don't like people using them with me. How can I step back after being ridiculed like this? I am the demon princess of Shishibone, Akane Sonozaki. I never back off when someone starts a fight with me. I love Akane. Don't say that about yourself. Also, that would have been perfect if you'd used a citizen instead of the demon princess. Huh? Fucking pardon? The police officers, the citizens in the lobby, and Otaka's colleagues didn't know what was going on. Let me introduce them. This is Akane Sonozaki. She's the vice president of the Shishibone City Women's Kendo Club. And this is Saburo Sonozaki. He's an honorary director of the Prefectural Kendo League. Oh, I should mention his formal title. This is Shishibone's 2nd District Representative. I don't know what the... Senior Sonozaki. Eh? Well, you're here to give Otaka a lesson, right? He's the instructor for the Prefectural Police's Kendo Club, after all. Haha. Thank you for coming. Here, please show them to the dojo. A representative? The same. Didn't you say we were close? I think we'll have lots of fun together today. Oh, I'm so excited. The two of them were still clinging to his shoulders and laughing meaningfully. Otaka laughed along with them. Okay. I'm sorry, I turned the sound effects way down because they were annoying me, but it's unfortunate when you get the comedic sound effects like that, which work best when heard at full volume. Are you sure? Did you really confirm that the Queen Carrier was at home yesterday? What do you mean by confirm? I just went by because I heard she caught a cold. So how could they have found a corpse? It's impossible. That's right, that's impossible. But unless it's confirmed, some people might misunderstand. Who would misunderstand what? I mean, the whole village would go into a panic if they found out Rika Furude was dead. Now I'm certain she's lying. I don't even need to wait to hear from Tomitake. Mr. Kano's objective is the execution of the emergency manual. Its premise is about to be destroyed, and that's why she's panicking. She finally found someone who showed an interest in her research, which made her feel better about herself. Yet that someone is about to cut her off, and that's why she's panicking. She's as pitiful as can be. If it were possible, if there was a way to reach out to her, I would reach out to save her from drowning. But my hand will never reach. It won't reach her unless she reaches out. She's drowning, but as long as she refuses to seek help, I'll never reach her. Until she realises it herself, no matter how much I reach out, she'll refuse my helping hand. However, my selfish imagination will have to stop there for now. Is Rika home or not? If she goes into the details, she'll become suspicious of me, since I told her I saw Rika at home. That'll put me in a very dangerous position. A man who'd been on the phone for some time put down the receiver. Major, there's no answer. There's nobody home. What is the observation unit saying? Since the 17th, the day they started their observation, there hasn't even been one phone call. Hey, Director Irie, that means Rika's still at home, right? Yeah, I guess so. I'm not sure. She's gotten so much better. Maybe she snuck out or something. Today is the day of the festival, remember? I think there are some vendors set up near her house. There are a lot of people around, so maybe your observers missed her? Well, can that be possible? Every time Director Irie leaves, we place a seal on the house afterwards. I don't think she could have gotten out through a window. So the mountain dogs are certain that Ara's not left the house, right? Yes, we're certain. Ara's inside of the R residence, and she hasn't left the house since the 17th. We're sure about that. The only person who checked inside was Dr. Irie, and nobody from the mountain dogs did. But you're sure about that, right? Well, one of the mountain dogs looked at me. I swallowed and then nodded to him. Then how do you explain Ara's corpse at the police station? Like I said, it's possible they made some kind of mistake. The autopsy isn't done yet, and the body hasn't been confirmed to be Rika Furude. Could just be a rumour. You already said that. How many hours do you think have passed since that rumour has gotten to Tokyo? Unless we do something about this, Tokyo will... Takano realised I was standing next to her and shut her mouth. I could already tell what she wanted to say, though. Major, there's a phone call for you from Nonra in Tokyo. Damn it. I told her to give me a little more time. Takano usually has a lot of self-control, but she's not doing so well right now. Even her body language makes it clear how irritated she is. Does she have a habit of scratching herself? As she folded her arms, I could see marks where her nails touched her skin. She's clearly not doing well. Anxiety and depression. Mental illness. Source. Personal experience. Mr. Takano's rather occupied right now. I'll take it. Miss Nomura, right? I've never talked to her, have I? Sorry, this phone call is for the Major. The mountain dog looked alternately between Takano and my face. Dr. Irie, I have to take care of a few things. Could you please excuse yourself? Oh, sure. I understand. You're in charge of the institute. I shouldn't say anything, huh? Somebody take him to the director's office. Hurry. She's basically telling me to get out. I left the security room quietly. Hello, this is Takano. Sorry to make you wait. I'm sorry to call you repeatedly. So did you find out anything else? I'm sorry. I've ordered my men to get to the bottom of this immediately. Some of them are headed to the police station and I'm just waiting to hear from them. I see. So you should be hearing from them soon, right? What time do you think you can call us? I'll call you as soon as I find out something. But it's hard to say what time, though. As soon as possible, of course. Major, have you ever been on an airplane before? Yes, of course. When an airplane takes off, an enormous amount of power is needed. That's why sometimes there's engine trouble during takeoff. If the plane hasn't sped up yet, all it has to do is slow down and abandon the takeoff. But if it's already sped up, it's more dangerous to stop, so they go ahead and take to the air. A jet plane has 4 engines, so even if one engine breaks down, it can still fly without problems. Not in the 80s, well, better in the 80s, but flying in the like 60 through 90s really, but especially 80s, fucking terrifying. It's the same with our operation. There is more than one engine, so if we have enough speed, we'll go ahead with our plan. We'll figure out what to do later, but we're still only preparing to take off. Do you understand what I mean? The first step of the operation was Tomatake's assassination. That hasn't even happened yet, so what Nomura was saying was correct. For all you knew the plane you were on had a broken engine before it took off, what would you do? You'd get off, right? It's the same thing for us. Our clients want to get off the plane because they found out there was engine trouble before takeoff. They were already at the point of no return, then a little mistake wouldn't matter that much. But since they're still before that point, they're overly cautious about even a tiny mistake. We are checking to see if it is in fact engine trouble as we speak. I know. You're like a traffic controller at a control tower. I'm like a flight attendant calming the passengers down. I'm doing my best to talk them into staying on board, even though there's a chance the plane will never take off. If it takes too long to fix the problem, the flight may be cancelled completely. Major Takano, that means your grandfather's work will be forever known as a madman's nonsense. Do you understand that? When one girl dies, all the villagers will go mad. It's just too silly. Where'd you get such an idea? Sounds like some fantasy. What the hell? So stupid. Who in the world do Hifumi and Mio Takano think they are? It's just too funny. Takano ground her teeth. She squeezed the receiver so tightly her knuckles went right. Okay, sorry, I was looking up Nomura's page because I'm really intrigued by her. Anyway, now do you understand what will happen? Do you get it? Your grandfather's honour depends on this, as does yours. Yes, thank you for thinking about us. Don't worry, I'm your only ally. I'll help you achieve the ending that makes you happy. I'll be with you until the very end. So please, find out if the information coming from the Okanomiya Police Department is true or false. I'll do my best, but it's not easy to deal with unhappy clients. I'm sorry to make you go through that. Please, give me a little more time. Yes, goodbye. I'm tired of doing the Takano voice. In Takano scene, she gets my normal voice because my throat hurts, and because it's really difficult to do her voice when she's like het up. Takano made sure that Nomura hung up first, and then hung up herself. Hasn't Okanogi called yet? Call him. Major, we just called 10 minutes ago. He's supposed to call as soon as he learns something. Why don't you take a little break? Coffee is... The unit member tried to serve a cup of coffee to Takano, but she knocked it aside. The cup fell on the floor, making a black puddle. Everyone in the security room went silent. Damn it. Somebody bring a mop to clean up this mess. I don't care if we called 10 minutes ago. Call him again. Tell him to find proof that Rika Furude isn't dead and capture Tomitake. Takano was starting to realise something. By now, she could sense that there was something behind Tomitake's disappearance. He must have known something about what was happening at the Okonomiya police station. He might look dumb, but somehow found out about the plan, and he was trying to mess with Takano. So he was clearly behind all of it. Takano had been intending to let him enjoy the festival that night if he behaved. The quickest way for Takano to be certain of what was happening would be to see Rika Furude's face at her house. But she couldn't leave, and she couldn't trust Irie. And because there were too many people around for the festival, the mountain dogs had their hands full. She'd answer the phone, that'd do, but she wouldn't answer. That meant the house was empty, and that Rika Furude's death was real. What went wrong? Who deceived her? There was only one person. The only person who claimed that he saw her at the house. Irie was the most suspicious person around. Tomitake had left the hotel and was nowhere to be found, so maybe Rika had left her house and was hiding somewhere else. In other words, Irie betrayed her and was in contact with Tomitake. Start observing Director Irie. Are you saying he's lying? Why would he do that, though? Tomitake must have noticed our plan. He left the hotel and told Rika to go somewhere safe. He's deceived us, and we've been observing an empty house. The house can't be empty. There's definitely someone in there. Do you have proof that it's her? It's not her. That person is there simply to deceive the mountain dogs, to make it look like she's home. That's it. Tell Okonogi to break into the residence. I don't know who's in there, but whoever it is, they're connected to Tomitake and Rika. Put the heat on them. But we can't break into the residence. Not today. There are just too many festival goers around. We can't break in until after the festival's over, which is around midnight. That's why all of you are here, right? Just do something. Why? Why can't you do what I tell you to do? Can't you follow my orders? Why? Can you only follow my patron's orders? Oh. The unit members could only watch in silence. They knew that nothing could comfort her. The noise of the phone suddenly broke the silence. Takano practically jumped. Yes? What? Major, good news. Crow successfully got the number the research division in Tokyo was calling for their scheduled reports. The phone number is in Shishibone City. The mountain dogs are trying to pinpoint the address. It's Tomitake. It has to be. Skylark, gather your most capable men. He's being cautious, so don't make any mistakes. Heron, give them backup. Understood. Skylark 1 to all units. As soon as we get the address, we'll move in. Everyone, get on board. Shit. Has no man from the phone company called yet? I'll look into it. Give me 5 minutes. It was 8:45. They didn't know where in Shishibone he was staying, but depending on where it was, it might be too far to get there before 9 a.m. They'd have to depend on luck. Damn it, 2 and 50 seconds, not 5 minutes. The hell is taking so long? He's just punching numbers into the computer. I'll be honest, I've kind of zoned out a little bit and forgotten why the appointed hour of 9 a.m. is so important. Okay, no more spacing out, only reading now. We've got it. The address is Hirosaka, Block 1XX, Hotel Moderato. It's routing through a switch, so its room number's unknown. Do you hear that, Skylark? We've got it, we're heading out. Luckily, Hirosaka Block 1 was close enough. Okonogi had been right. Tomitake was hiding nearby. The garage doors of Okonogi Gardeners opened one after another, and the white vans sped off in a hurry. That piece of shit. It's our turn now. He didn't even think there could be someone working against him in the research division. Now it's our turn for a surprise attack. Hotel Moderato. Despite its name, it had a cheap stained sign out front. A dilapidated business hotel on the outskirts of town, the perfect place for someone to lay low in. They might draw in some guests if they renovated the building into a more modern love hotel, but it was clear they didn't have the capital for renovations and could go under at any minute. That's the kind of hotel it was. Tomitake was staying in one of the rooms on the second floor. The interior of the room was worse than his previous hotel. It only had a bed and a phone. But that phone was what he needed the most at the moment. If he didn't have to receive regular reports, he would keep changing hotels, which was safer, but he needed up-to-date information from the research division, and his course of action would change according to that information. Moving about unnecessarily might cause miscommunication in case of an emergency. Tomitake never suspected that there was a spy in the research division. The ticking sound from the clock echoed throughout the room. It was almost 9, but the phone might not ring at 9 on the dot. Tomitake waited in front of the phone patiently. He tried to organise the information in his head so he could answer questions more calmly. At the same time, he kept in mind the possibility of an attack. At that time, he heard a woman scream in the distance. It happened again. He heard another scream. Tomitake got the sense that something was happening inside the hotel. Right, I'm gonna... Okay. Bear with me. I said I wasn't going to look anything else up, but that was a lie. Oops. Do. Okay. Well, I still can't work out why the hour of 9 o'clock is so important, but there we go. His intuition told him that someone was checking every single room with a master key. Tomitake opened the curtain a little. He saw several mountain dogs who were blocking all the ways out of the hotel. How long had they been there? Finally, they'd finally found where he was. Tomitake could hear their loud footsteps. He heard voices too. This one's empty. Next. This cheap hotel didn't have chains on the door. They had no means to fend off the master key. Tomitake could tell there were around 20 of them. No, maybe there were more. It would be of no use trying to fight with them. All he could do was hide. Under the bed, or in the bathroom. At the very least, the ceiling wouldn't open up like in the movies. Should he jump out the window? It was the second floor after all. It was perfectly possible to slide a jump. I can't remember if Japan does floors like they do in the States or in the UK. In the UK you have ground first and second, so it would be 3 flights. Well, 2 flights I guess. But in the States it would only be like 1 flight. Still painful, but not impossible. They'd be expecting that, however. Yet this was right on city grounds. If he was confident in his legs, it wouldn't be impossible to outrun them. Tomitake soon heard footsteps outside his door. This was it. He jumped from the window. Of course, there were mountain dogs on the ground waiting for him. They pointed, and about 6 of them started running after him. Tomitake shot off right from the position he landed in. This took the mountain dogs by surprise. He started to dash right after he jumped out the second floor window. Tomitake was prepared to do something like that. He'd been training in case of an emergency just like this one. Skylark 10 to Skylark 1, we've located the target. He's running. We need assistance. Skylark 1 to Heron. The target is heading west using the back alleys. Stop him. Roger that. Heron 2, 3 and 4. Head on over there. Here he comes. That's him. 3 members of the Mountain Dogs jumped out from behind the streetlight and stood in his way. They prepared to stop him, but he kept running at full speed. They quickly realised he wasn't running towards them to knock them down. He was trying to run past them. There was no point in them taking a fighting position. They lowered themselves and tried to tackle him simultaneously. Now! Tomitake jumped over them, like an Olympic athlete leaping over a hurdle. But he wasn't an Olympic athlete, and there weren't hurdles. Tomitake's heel struck one of the dogs. The 2 flanking Tomitake thought they'd seized hold of him. But as he flew over them, he grabbed onto 2 of their heads and smashed them against each other. He knew this wouldn't stop them, but it at least gained a little time to run. Target broke through the west intercept team. He's still running. Damn it, what are you doing? Heron 10, go around in the car. Take the second left and we'll get him at 9 o'clock. You okay? Shit. Don't let him get away. Shit, my nose is bleeding. Big mood. Tomitake saw a van that stalled wide open ahead of him. It couldn't stop in time and it hit the wall. As soon as it stopped, several mountain dogs jumped out of the van. Stop him, no matter what. Stop him. Come on, there are 5 of us. Tomitake saw the men ahead of him, but he didn't think even those 5 could stop him. Why do trains sound their horn at people on the rails? It's not because the train will get damaged, it's because the people will get hurt. Get away! He yelled at them like a horn on a train. He wasn't warning them because they were in his way. He was warning them to move so that they didn't get hurt. Look how many we are. We outnumber him 5 to 1. Don't tell me we can't stop him. No way. There's no way he can get past us. Let's go. Tomitake didn't grin. After all, trains don't grin. Zoom in on his chest. Captured Tomitake. Really? Didn't take that long. I want to ask him some questions. Don't kill him, okay? Bring him over here. We'll kill him afterwards, but I've already got a great way for him to go. The phone continued to ring inside of Tomitake's empty hotel room. Within 30 minutes, Tomitake was dragged from the back door of the Irie Institute, wearing a gag and handcuffs. He didn't even move, as though he was sedated. The Mountain Dogs members had carried him out of the van. Irie saw Tomitake from his window and came out of his office in a hurry. Takano was already there. What's going on here, Takano? The Mountain Dog silently glared at Irie. He realised he shouldn't have left his room. I didn't see Jiro for a while, so I became worried and had the Mountain Dogs look for him. It was a good thing I did, because look, he's gone terminal. He's developed terminal symptoms? Are you sure? Of course, Tomitake didn't reply. Irie decided not to say any more. I see. That's very unfortunate. Let's give him some medication as soon as we can. Of course. I hope it's not too late. Irie already knew. The Mountain Dogs had tracked him down. Irie wasn't sure if Tomitake was able to arrange something with Tokyo. He wasn't even sure if the Bloodhounds had been called in. He could guess that Tomitake didn't have time. If the Bloodhounds were called in, the Mountain Dogs would catch that information. And if that was the case, they'd likely drop everything and run. But Tomitake was captured and they brought him back to the Institute. That meant it hadn't got that far and they were still trying to fix the damage. In other words, Tomitake wasn't able to do what they'd hoped for. What were they going to do to him? Since they brought him back alive, they planned to torture a confession out of him? That'd be dangerous for him. He'd likely end up dead. Irie realised he had to do something in Tomitake's place. The main reason why Irie had to rescue Tomitake was because he had no way of contacting Tokyo on his own. Takano wanted Irie to be useless, so she never told him about how to get in touch with Tokyo. Irie could receive phone calls from them, but he could only call them through Takano. Therefore, Tomitake was the key. Unless Irie had rescued him, they couldn't possibly win. But Irie wasn't like the Mountain Dogs. He was simply a researcher. There was no way he could rescue Tomitake from such a high-security area. There were 8 Mountain Dogs in the building. There were usually only 2, but Takano had called in more. Of course, the basement was a highly secured area, and one needed an access card to get in. That card was only given to people in Irie's position. In addition to the access card, one would need a fingerprint match as well. The access card alone wouldn't do it. Therefore, the only person who could rescue Tomitake from that high-security basement was Irie. And so, even if it was impossible, he had to do it. Irie bunched up his hands into fists and held them tight to encourage himself, but noticed that his fists were shaking. Irie, did you forget? Irie remembered what Akasaka had told him. But it's very hard to anticipate your own danger. You can't underestimate it. You may not even get a chance to make the phone call. If you said something odd, that's an emergency. Knowing the seriousness of the conspiracy, they won't hesitate to kill us. Please be very careful. Irie felt the cold sweat pooling on his back. Was this the emergency Akasaka was talking about? He shouldn't think that it was still okay. He might lose a chance to run. He realised that trying to do something by himself was foolish. He had a security access card, true, but that didn't mean he had to rescue Tomitake by himself. Just like how everyone else is trying to combine their efforts, he should also ask for help. Also, Tomitake was in their hands, which meant the mountain dogs had realised they were under attack and were preparing to counter. It was very possible they were suspicious of Irie too. Once they broke into Rika's house, his lies would be exposed. Indeed, this was the emergency Akasaka was talking about. Irie had realised that. He was already in danger. He needed to leave immediately. The Sonozaki residence was their gathering spot in case of an emergency. His allies were congregating at the Sonozaki residence. He should explain the situation to them and think about how to rescue Tomitake. Takano probably wouldn't kill him immediately. She was intending to kill him that night as the 5th year's curse, so there was still a little time left. He had allies, and with the security access card, there was still a chance to rescue him. Irie had to let Akasaka know that he was escaping. If they became suspicious of Irie, they'd check the house, and Akasaka would be in danger too. In other words, it could cause a chain reaction. Irie didn't miss his last chance to escape, but he still had to do his final job. Irie picked up the phone at his desk, called Rika's home number, and left. It would continue to ring like that, sounding the emergency signal. Irie thought back to when he wondered how long he was going to stay in this director's room. He never knew this day would come so suddenly. He noticed the framed picture of his parents on the desk. Irie had become a doctor so he could clear up the misunderstandings between his parents and regain his family ties. But how did he get involved in something like this? No, he would return. He would return and continue the fight against Hinamizawa syndrome. He vowed to himself that he would never ever abandon that responsibility. I'll be back, murmured Dad. Irie said his final goodbye and left the director's office. Major, there's a call from the director's office to an outside number. The phone number is to our residence. Eh? What does that mean? Can you listen in? Of course. I'll put it up over the speaker. One of the members flipped a switch. There was the sound of a ringtone. Why is Irie calling that house now? Maybe Elle really is at home and he's trying to let her know that Tomitake has been captured. That might be it. He has no idea we're listening in. What was Irie going to talk about? Takano waited patiently to eavesdrop on the conversation, and there was nothing but a ringtone. It had been over 30 seconds. There was no answer. Nobody was home. The director sure is patient. Guess he's sure that she's home. Major, we have the director on the security camera at the back door. The black and white quad display monitor showed Irie running out of the back door. What's going on? Who's calling from the director's room? Takano became utterly confused, but the ringtone continued. Couldn't be. Takano finally realised what was going on. It's a trap. He knew we were listening in, so he made a fake call. Irie is a traitor. Catch him! The security room on the first floor. Stop Director Irie. Target is heading towards the staff parking lot from the back door. The 2 mountain dogs who were playing cards in the security room on the first floor jumped into action. The security room was located next to the back door, so Irie was still within reach. He'd made a serious mistake. He could have left the clinic during the 30 seconds Takano and her men were listening to the ringtone, but when he got to the parking lot, he realised he forgot his car key on his desk in the director's office, so he had to go back and get it. It was only at this point that he realised he shouldn't have gone back. He should have escaped on foot, but he wasn't used to emergencies, unlike Akasaka. It was a typical mistake any normal person who'd never gone through anything dangerous would make. Though he made mistakes, he didn't forget to call Akasaka. People usually become extremely clumsy when they're in a rush. All he has to do was turn the key, but he couldn't even do that smoothly. He kept turning the key, and finally the engine started. He still thought he was alright. Even if one of them questioned him, all he'd have to do was say that he was going out to get something. When he released the handbrake with his steady left hand, he saw 2 of the mountain dogs dashing out the back door. As the 2 of them looked around, Irie's eyes met with one of theirs in the rearview mirror. He pointed at Irie's car, and the two of them started running towards it. The two of them looked serious, and certainly not like they were chasing after him to return a drop pen. His body was soaked with sweat. While the two of them could jump on the car, Irie stomped on the gas pedal, and the car took off, spinning its wheels. Of course, the dogs didn't give up. They got into the rank car and started to chase after Irie. Security to base. The director is on the run in his car. Do you want us to force him to stop? Major, this is Takano. He's probably headed to the 3-day shrine. There are too many people there, so it will be impossible to catch him. Fine, don't worry about injuries. Don't let him go. Stop him by any means necessary. Roger that. We'll force him to stop. Send backup just in case, over. Roger that. We'll send Nightingale as backup. But don't wait for them. Stop him right now. God, my throat hurts. Oh, too many readings. The mountain dogs had Irie's car in their view as it ran away at full speed. They'd have to find a perfect spot and timing to stop him. It's not easy to drive a car when you're in a rush. Of course, the more you step on a gas pedal, the more speed you gain. But when you're in a hurry, you can't control the steering wheel well enough to escape quickly. Irie could see his pursuers in his rearview mirror and was completely distracted by that. He was driving carelessly. His driving was so reckless he could easily get into an accident on his own. As the fear was driving him into confusion, he made a wrong turn, and that mistake made him even more confused and panicked. Come on, director. You're going to lose your license for driving like that. Though the two guys were ordered to stop him, they started to think that he was going to get into an accident without them doing anything. They'd rather not drag this into a car chase if they didn't have to. This is Phoenix 1, security vehicle, come in. Commander, a security vehicle here. We're still chasing him. We're on the path through the forest near the 5th district, not sure of the exact location. We're heading your way as your backup as per HQ's orders. Estimated time of arrival is 15 minutes. Don't wait for us. I don't think we'll be there in time. Okonogi grumbled. He had to leave Okonomiya in a hurry to respond to Major Princess. But because of the distance, there was no way he could get there in time. Even so, he was still ordered to provide backup. He could have explained, but the princess wouldn't have listened to him anyway. The mountain dogs who were with Okonogi smiled bitterly. In which direction are you heading? In the worst case scenario, we'll end up leaving town. Don't let him. We'll comb the hills for him so break his legs. Is there anyone else? Any weapons? It's in the middle of the forest. There's nobody around. We have one submachine gun and a security vehicle. The guy in the passenger seat reclined it and climbed into the back. He lifted one of the seats and took out a black machine gun. The paint on one corner was coming off and the shiny silver metal was exposed. It was a machine gun, but it didn't look as powerful as an ordinary one. However, once the dog extended a shoulder stock and set it in place, it looked far more vicious. It's an MP5, correct? Is it A5 or SD3? Man in the back seat looked at the uniquely shaped gun barrel. It was thick and long. Wink. SD3. Has a silencer as well. You're allowed to fire. Shred his tyres with a full burst. Roger that. We're attacking. The guy in the back seat opened up the driver's side back window and leaned out of the car. His sharp eyes aimed at one of the tyres on Irie's vehicle. It was a straight road. Irie's car was weaving, but not enough to avoid a shot. The pursuers had his car in their sights. They were trying to get as close to Irie's car as possible, but they were afraid they might get caught up if it overturned. They soon decided this was as close as they were going to get. I'm going to fire on the count of 3. 3, 2, 1. The sound it makes was a lot quieter than what people would imagine, but its power was unimaginable. One of the tyres on Irie's car was cut to shreds and collapsed in a puff of white smoke. Because one tyre collapsed all of a sudden, Irie lost control of his car. He tried to steer away, but that made things even worse. As it spun, Irie's car drove off the shoulder of the road and slid down the slope into the forest. The sound of trees breaking and the car being battered from every direction disappeared down the slope. The pursuers stopped their car and looked down after it, but the plants were growing so high it was impossible to check from there. The attack was a success. The target vehicle went down the slope. It's possible that the driver is dead. We'll search on foot. Phoenix 1, roger. Nightingale is in the area. If you're lucky, you'll run into them. We aren't even close. I'm counting on you. Good luck. Roger, ending transmission. Quick, let's go. The mountain dogs left their car and headed into the woods without hesitation. Right, I'm getting AFK super duper quickly. Because I need water. I have acquired more a drink, and also the world's crumbliest cookie. Akasaka had received the phone signal from Irie. The phone rang for over 3 minutes. The signal told Akasaka that Irie was in some kind of emergency, and that Akasaka himself was in danger now. Takano made a mistake. She didn't realise the ringtone itself was the signal. She assumed someone staying at the house would pick up the phone eventually. Her error allowed Akasaka to perceive that extremely important for warning. He waited for exactly 3 minutes, then ran down the stairs quickly. He'd already put his shoes on while listening to the phone ring. He'd memorised the layout of the town from the map he'd kept near the phone. He knew the shortest route to the Sonozaki residence, as well as a number of alternative routes in case the shortest was already blocked. People would be surprised to see a stranger coming out of the house, but he didn't care about that at the moment. He had to get to the Sonozaki residence immediately. However, the observers would see him, and that was a problem. They'd soon come after him. Upon finding the house empty, they'd assume the man who ran from it knew something. Once he left Rika's house, he had to be prepared to fight. He relaxed his shoulders and reached for the doorknob. He's the only one amongst them that I trust. Him and Mion. And Akane. Send Akane in, everything would be sorted in seconds. Major, there's a message from the unit observing our residence. A suspicious man just exited the house. A man? Who is it? Actually, I don't care. Just catch him. Loud and clear. We'll pursue and stop him. It was only 10 a.m. It was a lively morning. Many people were getting ready for the festival. Akasaka weaved through the people going in the opposite direction and ran down the stairs leading from the shrine. The mountain dogs were already chasing after him. There was a significant gulf between the happy faces on the villagers and the serious faces on Akasaka and his pursuers. You could hear them coming up behind him. He didn't even need to turn around to check. He held his breath, focusing all of his senses to their limits as he sprinted even faster than he usually could with all his might. The success rate of an escape depends on the distance between the pursuer and the pursued. Even a little distance makes a difference. Akasaka ran down to the bottom of the stairs like the wind, then headed into the opposite direction, away from the Sonozaki residence. Of course, this was no mistake of his. He just wanted to lose them. Shit, what speed? Does he have wings on his feet or what? Why was I like, I'll decide to have the world's crumbliest cookie in the middle of a stream where I have to do lots of reading? And the answer is because I'm energy flagging and I need sugar. The observers weren't ready for this chase. They never expected a fast and fully grown man to run out of the house. They assumed it would be a little girl. That assumption was their mistake. Besides, Akasaka's locomotive-like power was nothing like that of normal people. There was no way they could catch him. The mountain dogs fell for his trick. They called HQ, told him that he was headed in the opposite direction, and followed him that way. Akasaka was confident he could have had them completely confused if he'd had a little more time. Not only that, he could have attacked them individually. Were there 3 pursuers? No, there were probably 4 of them. His mind, body and skills were all in top condition, so it should be possible for him. Usually overrating oneself is dangerous, but Akasaka was above such an immature level. Resisting violently at a place other than his destination might prompt them to waste manpower and time. But Akasaka wasn't sure of the real meaning of Irie's phone signal. They were at a severe level of emergency. He had no time to waste, so he had to get to the Sonozaki residence. As Akasaka ran as fast as he could, he tried to think about the situation calmly. Could he attack them first, and then head to the residence? The pursuers were scattered about and running out of breath. It wouldn't be easy to fight 4 men at the same time, but it'd be different to take them one-on-one. When Akasaka decided he had a high enough chance of winning, he took a deep breath and made a U-turn around the streetlight. The mountain dogs were surprised to see that the man who was running away from them was now running towards them. They prepared themselves to fight, but before he even reached them, he already had everything all planned out in his head. He had calculated how many blows would be required to take them all out. But his calculations were wrong. Without even needing a second blow, the first pursuer dropped after one of Akasaka's legendary punches connected with his face. While the fist was still in the air, his second took out the second pursuer. Dramatic zoom on a tree. There was a chorus of cicadas. Pardon me. This is not solving the crumb stuck in throat situation. There was a chorus of cicadas which woke Irie up. He needed little time to realise what had just happened. His seatbelt had saved him from serious injury. However, it was sheer luck that the metal parts of the seatbelt didn't get tangled and that the door didn't become warped. Okay. No distract, only game now. He was on the bottom of the slope, near a different forest road. Irie endured the pain and removed his seatbelt. He got out of the car soon after. He heard someone walking towards him through the bushes. A pursuer? He couldn't get caught just yet. If he was captured, it would be impossible to rescue Tomitake. Not only that, no one would ever know that Tomitake was captured in the basement of the clinic. Even though Irie knew he was helpless, he couldn't falter here. The only thing he could do was resist them and run for as long as he could. But as soon as he started to run, Irie realised he had no strength. His legs were shaking and he couldn't even see straight. He'd only been stepping on the gas pedal, but his lungs were about to explode and his brain was lacking in oxygen. Getting in a car accident will do that to you. It had to be that certain type of exhaustion that came immediately after. What they've said here is hyperarousal, but I'd say it's better described by adrenaline. Fun fact, I believe if you get a tattoo or a piercing, one of the main reasons you're advised to get a good night's sleep and have a good meal before and then a good meal afterwards is that, especially with a tattoo, which tends to go on for, you know, at least 45 minutes, if not more, depending on how big it was. My last one was multiple hours with a break in the middle to have lunch, because it's like the, you know, basically a quarter of my arm. And the reason you do that is because you're undergoing a severe chunk of pain, and what happens is that your body reacts to the pain with adrenaline, which helps deal with the pain and helps you heal. It helps you keep going. But the problem also is that when the adrenaline rush stops, you are wiped. So when I got my tattoo done this summer, or last summer rather, I was there I did basically everything you shouldn't do. I did not get enough sleep. It was boiling, I was not hydrated, I was running late, and I had like a bag of crisps for breakfast. I really screwed the pooch on that one. It was the middle of summer and extremely hot. So because of that, I was suffering. But when I came home, I was exhausted, and I think I like sat down on the sofa at my parents' place and then just like pretty much passed out. I can't remember if it was that night or the night afterwards. This was when lockdown was starting to lift, and it wasn't advised to go out, but it was kind of okay, especially in London. We went out for a meal for Mum's birthday. Did we? Yes, we must have done, because I distinctly remember being really hot, but wearing a jacket specifically so that I could sort of keep my arm protected, because we'd literally just taken the bandage off, and it's a big gaping open wound on my arm. Anyway, which is to say, I am very experienced with that exhaustion. Also, I believe, or I have read the theory that one of the reasons, if you have chronic pain of any kind, you know, went through chronic illness or injury or whatever, one of the reasons that's so exhausting is because your body reacts to the pain by producing adrenaline, and you got really tired afterwards. So you're in this constant cycle of like pain, adrenaline, exhaustion, and that's why there's often like chronic fatigue can go alongside chronic illness or chronic pain from injuries or anything like that, because you're just constantly stuck in that cycle, which I have definitely noticed when I have flare-ups. I am just, it's so tiring, and part of you thinks, oh, it's just because it's tiring to be in pain, but I guess it's actually the production of adrenaline. Anyway, Irie understood that intellectually, but he still can get his body moving. Fair dues. Every time I've got a tattoo or a piercing, I have really struggled to get home afterwards. Not my last piercing, but the one before that, I got it done, and as soon as I left the shop, I could feel the adrenaline rush going, because I was really nervous before I got it done. And so I was like, well, I need to find something to eat. So I went into the supermarket across the road, and there wasn't really anything that looked good in like the fresh food sandwich aisle. So instead, I just bought a baguette, and this was pre-lockdown. On the bus home, I just munched away at this baguette and was like, you know what, carbs are good for energy. And then I think I got back to my apartment and like fell asleep. He tried to run, albeit in a wobbly way. He heard a noise coming down the slope behind him. This was it, but he still tried to run as far as he could. Security to HQ, we found him. He's injured. We'll capture him. Irie heard the voice of his pursuer. Shit, I thought, what can I do? I have to run. I have to. What? I love the song because I always associate it with Rika being like disingenuous and also adorable. Carve into your hearts, spirit of retreat. Shion, what's that song you've been singing? Don't you know? It's really popular nowadays. My apologies. I'm rather ignorant when it comes to pop music. There was a wrecked car ahead. White smoke was still visible, so the accident must have just happened. Kasai slowed down. What is it? Oh, jeez. Hey, isn't that the coach? Their car stopped. The sound of the brake startled Irie, and he fell on his behind. Irie was obviously the one who'd been in the accident. Hey, coach, is that your car? Shion. You alright, Dr. Irie? You should go see a doctor. We'll take the coach to the clinic so he can treat himself, huh? Can you stand up? I'll take you there. Shion's much more immature in this version of her. Not the clinic. I can't go there. I have to go to the Sonozaki residence. Coach? Coach, what's going on? This isn't good. Kasai looked at Irie's car, then looked around the area. Then he whispered to Shion. Shion, you must be in some kind of trouble. What kind? There are bullet holes in his car, and they don't seem to be from an ordinary handgun. Really? You take that end. Let's get him to the main house. The two of them loaded Irie into the back seat, got into the car and left in a hurry. We have to ask the coach what's going on. He can't go back to the clinic. I wonder what he means. It sounded like he was running away from someone there, but I don't know. It's obvious he was involved in something dangerous. Hey, where are you going? Shion was confused as to why Kasai suddenly made a wrong turn. Dr. Irie's pursuers aimed for the tire of his car. They wanted to capture him alive. His pursuers are likely close by. Are they after us? There's no car behind us and nothing in the air. In this area, we'd be impossible to follow unless they're tailing us. I'm going to make another left turn just to be safe, then head to the main house. Could you watch what happens behind us? You got it. Security to HQ, the target was picked up by a civilian vehicle. I'm sending the license plate number and the car model. Roger that. Nightingale, your target is the civilian vehicle now. Search for it immediately. Try to capture Director Irie alive. Neutralize the civilians as well. Dead or alive. You sure? Are you going to find him? Don't worry. There's a tracking device on the Director's coat. Nightingale's vehicle can catch the signal, and they can pinpoint where he is. Irie was lying in the back seat, wearing his white coat. There was a device on his collar. The security department put it there just in case. So no matter how hard Shion tried to look for anyone following them, the enemy already knew exactly where they were. This is Nightingale 3. We found the vehicle. Just made a turn by the watermill. There was a map of Hinamizawa on the table in the security room. The path by the watermill led to a certain private property. It belonged to the Sonozaki family, and the residence was the only building on it. Major. Oh my, like rats in a trap. This is Phoenix 1. Nightingale, don't head in yet. Phoenix will join you in just a little bit. We'll go in together. This is Nightingale 1. Understood. Okanogi, don't give them any time. Why don't you let Nightingale go in? Bad connection. Nobody listens to me. Like, Takano's clearly gone off the deep end. I feel really bad for her. The Sonozaki family's basement had a security system which displayed images captured from the various security cameras on the property. Last time we were here, Shion was imprisoning a bunch of people because she went super paranoid. I do think that the Mion and Shion chapters are probably my favourite chapters of this game. Really, because they're almost like when this game went from like, it's when the game really went off the deep end. Like, there are others which are sort of perhaps more violent or more painful, perhaps, but this one just really, or those two, Watanagashi and whatever Shion's was that I can't remember, just really, like, elevated it to a next level. I think those are probably still my two favourite chapters. Of course, it wasn't as high-tech as the one at the Irie Institute. It was in the room on the second floor of a Gasho house, a Japanese-style room where you had to kneel to avoid hitting your head, with bundles of wire snaking away from the monitors. It felt like a hidden chamber. There was electricity and a phone nearby, and although it was in the basement, it had all of the basic amenities of the Sonozaki residence. After all, at first, all the club members had watched the monitor curiously, but after a while it got too hot in such a tiny room. Mion and Reina stayed in the room to observe the monitor. Mion, look, there's a car. That's Kasai's car. It's probably Shion. I bet she came because the festival's today. Jeez, why'd she have to come now? I don't have time for her. Their granny had been at the shrine since the early morning, so there was nobody upstairs to answer the door. And if Mion didn't answer it, Shion would think that nobody was home. Mion wondered if she should tell Shion what was going on. She could be helpful sometimes. Kasai's car stopped in front of the gate. Someone was getting out of it. Huh? Mion, look, isn't that the coach? What? They saw Shion and Kasai holding Irie on the monitor. That wasn't intentional. My voice straight up just broke there. Obviously, something serious had happened. Let's move. Reina, Keiichi, come with me. Stoko, watch the monitor. Rika, don't come up. Hanyuu, make sure Rika doesn't move. Leave it to me. I got it. Meep, that's not fair. Maybe Okanogi had made the right decision. If he'd let Nightingale go in as Takano had ordered, it would have been on the monitor. But Okanogi ordered them to stand by until another unit arrived, so they waited. So Mion didn't notice that the enemy was about to attack. By this time, there were many vehicles belonging to the mountain dogs parked by the windmill. Okanogi and Phoenix 1 had joined with Nightingale, and they were getting ready to head in. However, it had been a good idea to leave Stoko to watch the monitor, and if Mion hadn't gone out, Irie would have been killed. Mion didn't know it yet, but Irie was the only hope of rescuing Tomitake. So as a result, entirely by circumstance, they did everything correctly. Sis. I wonder if she's gone to the shrine already. Shion. Where did you come from? You were in the basement, weren't you? I'll tell the hag you were playing down there. Who cares about that? How's the coach? Coach? Is he alive? Huh? Are you all in trouble too? What's going on? Shion, listen well. It's like this. Coach, what happened? I'm sorry. The mountain dogs got Tomatake. He's in the clinic's basement. I got into an accident while they were chasing me. Irie explained everything he could while enduring the pain. Everyone was happy to see him safe, but Mion's expression quickly grew stern. Then she asked Shion a question. Is anyone after you? Nobody was following us. Come on, let's go in. I have a bad feeling. They heard the sound of a car approaching, and it wasn't alone. Who could it be at this time of day? It was a waste of precious seconds to even think that. Idiot, they are after you, Shion. I'm telling you, nobody was following us. Kasai picked up both sisters and ran through the gate. Let's go to the basement. It'll be safe there. Mion, there are a lot of strange cars approaching. I know. Go back to the basement. I'll shut the door. Where's Rika? She went into the secret room with Hanyuu. This is Nightingale 6. We found the target. Some of our friends are there too. Ara's hiding there, I know. Right. Chira? Tomatake was lying on the floor of the security room. His hands and legs were cuffed, and there was another pair of handcuffs to connect him, leaving him backwards on the floor. Wink. He couldn't get up or even turn around. Takano laughed and poked his side with the toe of her shoe. The mountain dogs climbed over the fence easily. There was no need for anyone to explain at this point. It was obvious that they were the enemy, and they were the mountain dogs that Rika had spoken about many times. Oh my god, hiccups! They went through the grove of trees and headed for the entrance of the underground storehouse. The first 5 mountain dogs were supposed to capture them all, but they fell down one after another. Just as one of the mountain dogs started to wonder why they fell, he felt something on his leg. The next moment, he was flying through the air. As he stood up, his leg got pulled again. He realised then that there was a rope wrapped around it. Because of the way he fell, the rope was wrapped tightly around it and wouldn't come off easily. Be careful! There are traps in the bushes. Satoko had set up lots of traps. Good old Satoko, eh? We can always count on her. After all, she wouldn't just sit around all day on an empty property. The club members headed into the underground storehouse one after another. The mountain dogs couldn't do anything, although they did see them. Oh, I forgot! Ben Howard's new album came out today. Sorry, I was checking my phone to do a thing. Surprise! I'm closing the door. Come on, help me. Here we go. It was a heavy door, but when they put their strength together, it closed easily. We unlocked the door quickly, putting on the deadbolt for good measure. Do you think this will be enough? Don't you think they'll break this door, don't you? I saw 5 or 6, perhaps even more cars on the monitor. They're all vans, and I saw strange men inside of them. I don't think the door will be broken that easy, but I imagine they're used to doing things like this. Has my audio died? It hasn't, it's just the game audio. Okay. Enjoy that brief flash of the album that I've been listening to on repeat recently. But I'd imagine they're used to doing things like this. We shouldn't underestimate them. Before he could even finish speaking, someone pounded on the door. The second group of mountain dogs had arrived. Though the heavy door was separating them, it wasn't at all comforting to know that the enemy was just on the other side. I'm sorry. It's all my fault. You haven't done anything wrong. Let's go farther in. Yeah, let's find out how many there are on the monitor. Okay, fine. Leave me out of this. I'm just an outcast. Oh, shut up. I'll explain when I have 5 minutes to spare. Shion really is much more immature in this one. Nightingale 1 to Phoenix 1. The targets are in the basement. There's a steel door here and we can't break through. Phoenix 1, roger that. Shit, Sonozaki family must be so rich. Property is too huge for us to surround, so we won't even try. Let's join Nightingale. Nightingale, knock some trees down. We use them to ram down the door. Phoenix 7 to Phoenix 1, we have some plastic explosives for indoor use. Do you want us to get them ready? Plastic explosives are explosives for military use. There are various different kinds, but he was talking about this type specifically made to break down doors. Okanogi momentarily thought it was a good idea, but changed his mind right away. This is a small village. If there was an explosion, everyone would hear. It was daytime and they were on the surface. It was the worst time and place for the mountain dogs to do their job. An explosion isn't a good idea. Hmm? Oh, wait a minute. What time is it now? It's almost 10 a.m. I see. Phoenix 7, we'll do it. Get the fuse ready. Huh? Commander, what does 10 a.m. have to do with an explosion? Okanogi's mind was working sharper than ever. He was sure that this would work. Everyone gathered in the secret room. I'm not going to finish this week, by the way, but that's okay. We'll have a beautiful cliffhanger for next week. Is everyone okay? Oh, we were watching the monitor. There are about 30 guys out there. That many? That's not good. Can I see? Look, I don't know what to do. When Mion touched the switch, the screens switched to the view of the entrance to the basement. Some of the mountain dogs were checking out the door. They didn't appear to be trying to force it open. They were simply at a loss for what to do. What do you think they'll do now? They think we're trapped rats in here, so I'm sure they're going to try breaking open the door. What the heck? What are they doing with that log? They must be thinking of using it as a battering ram. Stoko just said they're assuming we're trapped rats. We should get out of here while they're trying to open the door. I agree. Besides, we have to rescue Tomatake. You're right. No matter how strong the door is, we'll be in big trouble if they find us. I think it's time for us to escape. Sis, don't you think we should call the police? Oh yeah, we completely forgot about that. Even if a spy at the police station overhears us, there really isn't much you can do at this point anyway. I'm sure Oishi will come right over. Mion picked up the phone. Why hadn't she thought about this earlier? What? What's the matter? Mion panicked as she tried to listen for a dial tone. The phone. What's going on? I don't hear anything. They must have cut the line. What? Suddenly everything went dark. Is this a power failure? Kasai lit his cigarette lighter, and Mion turned her emergency flashlight on. This is the drawback of the basement. But they won't be able to see either, right? I know, but they might have some kind of device that lets them see in the dark, don't you think? Mion, why do you think they cut the electricity? They're just going on the offensive? Nothing else. It worked to turn the security system off. They were checking out the door. They didn't give up. They have a way to destroy the door, and they don't want us to notice it. That's why they cut the electricity. Are they going to blow it up? The door could be destroyed in a second, so we can't stay here, right? Mion, let's get out of here. Show us the way to the hidden escape route. This way, everyone. Mion was getting confused amidst all the chaos. She hadn't underestimated the mountain dogs. She even considered that they'd have some explosives, but she didn't think they'd use them in Hinamizawa in broad daylight. Somebody would hear the explosion. Is there even such a thing as a silent explosive? What a rough bunch. Not even concerned with minor risks. This is a crazy situation, but the mountain dogs are always very, very careful. I don't know about Takano, but there's no way Okanogi would allow an explosion in the middle of the day. Yet they're still going to do it, huh? They've got guts. I don't know how much about them, but just like a silencer on a gun, aren't there, like, silent explosives? No way. No matter what you do, an explosion sounds like an explosion. Oh, I get it. You're a staff member for the festival, aren't you, Coach? What time do they let people know if the festival is going to take place? I'm pretty sure it's at 10 a.m. Ah! Well, do you think, just like on track and field day? If you want to hide a tree, hide it in the forest, huh? Rika knew Okanogi well. He would always complain about how he had to guard her like she was a princess. Rika had never expected him to be so sharp. That was why she was more frustrated than anyone else. The mountain dogs had quickly set explosives on the basement door. Long wires were connected to the explosives, and the mountain dogs were waiting at the other end, lying flat on the ground. One of the members was holding a detonation switch. All the wires were linked to it. It's almost 10. This morning I thought it was bad luck that this happened on the day of the Watanagashi festival, but now I'm glad about it. Okanogi had realised that he could use the festival effectively. He was going to make sure his enemies got what they deserved. On the morning of a village event, they use fireworks to let everyone know that an event is going to take place that day. This method is often used for track and field days at school. Since Watanagashi starts in the evening, the fireworks go up at 10 a.m. The fireworks, of course, make loud explosive noises. They really use that at track and field days? Insane. Since Hinamizawa is located in a ravine, The sound echoes, making it hard to figure out where it's coming from, and that was an advantage for the map dogs. Now, a loud noise and a shock shook the ground like an earthquake. The explosion must have warped support beams everywhere. There was a discomforting squeaky noise and dust fell from the ceiling. It certainly was powerful. The explosion must have blown the door wide open. An explosion that took place without anyone noticing it. Come on, this way. Mion led everyone into one of the rocky caves. There was a well-hidden shaft in there. They called it a hidden well, but it was actually a very eerie vertical tunnel. I hate looking at this because I just think of when Shion was like, Mion, you have to escape, and then pushed her down and... Oh my god. I'm just thinking about how Watanagashi Hen is like the masterpiece of a chapter. I kind of want to replay it just because it's so creepy and so good. They didn't have enough flashlights for everyone, so there was no way for them to see the entirety of the ominous hidden well. Are you telling us to go down there? How far does it go? There's a horizontal tunnel crossing it after about 30 meters. We can get into the mountains through that tunnel. Okay, then why don't you go first, sis? You know the way around here better than anyone. Huh? Do I have to? Who else? Kasai and I will be the rear guard. Come on, hurry up. Okay. Mion was going to volunteer to take the rear, but Mion and Shion knew instinctively. Because there were so many of them, the rear might not make it in time. Unlike the iron door at the entrance, once the enemies were inside, all they'd have to do was go through the inner doors, which were easily breakable. The route was basically a straight line. They probably wouldn't get lost on their way. That's why Shion took the rear guard position while Mion did. After all, she was actually the older sister. She wanted to protect her younger sister, who was playing the older sister in this real emergency. Mion intuitively knew what Shion was thinking, and she understood well the relationship between her sister and herself. She wasn't the only one who felt guilty for taking the older sister's position. Shion felt guilty for making Mion take on the responsibility of the family head, and here, finally, was a chance for her to return. Mion, do you have the key to the armory? Now is the time to open it. Mion silently threw over the key. Kasai and Shion took it and ran deep into the rock tunnel. Listen, everyone, it's about 30 meters to the horizontal tunnel. If you fall, that's it for you. It's dark, so be very careful as you go down. If you end up waiting, make sure to light the way for the others, okay? I think only one or two can go down at the same time. I'll go first. Come on, give me some light. Mion, be careful. The ones with the flashlights, you be careful too. If the flashlights were on, they could have gone down quickly. There are actually a few light bulbs inside of the well. Of course, Mion had already checked them. It was now certain that the enemy had cut the power to the basement. It was extremely dangerous to go down this well with just a little light from the flashlights. As one went down, there had to be people lighting up the way. Mion was right. She realised as she went down herself that it was almost impossible to go down the ladder without the weak light from the flashlights. The lights didn't reach all the way down. In the darkness, her feet suddenly became unsteady. Every step she took made her more nervous. It was about 30 meters to the horizontal tunnel. That's quite deep enough already, but the hidden well went deeper than that. If Mion fell, she would just injure herself. Hasn't it been 30 meters yet, she thought? She couldn't even remember exactly how long 30 meters was. Had she missed the horizontal tunnel already? At that time, she felt a cool breeze on her body. She could sense a huge hole nearby, so she took out a flashlight to light the surrounding area. She saw the black tunnel yawning before her. Okay, here I go. Ha! Ha! Okay, found the tunnel. Rika, come down. Police are outside. They're here to arrest me for eating cookies while streaming crimes. Mion lit up the way from below. Okay, you're next, Rika. Coach, you go next, then Hanyuu, then Toko, okay? Let's move. Irie wanted to say he'd go last, but Reina gave the order first. They couldn't get into the basement of the clinic without Irie. Without him, they couldn't rescue Tomitake. Their lives were all equally important, but at least for the moment, his was the second most vital after Rika. I genuinely can't tell if the police noise I can hear is happening in-game or out of game, so... I think it's in-game, actually. It just sounds a lot like the police noises outside. Please, be careful. I'll light your way. Okay, come on everyone, hurry up! Rika! Rika was much shorter than Mion. She couldn't go down the ladder as easily. Her legs were too short and her left foot slipped. I'm okay. Damn it. I'm sick of this life where I never grow up. I'll pass through June of 1983, and I'll grow taller. I won't stay like this forever. Though she'd been living for over 100 years, she was still afraid of heights. As she fought that fear, she tried to climb down as quickly as possible. After a while, the light from the top didn't reach her anymore, and Mion's light from below lit her way. Mion's light was enough. The next person could come down. I'm okay. Whoever's next can go. Okay, Coach, you're up next. You're a grown man, so go down quickly. He's also just come out of a car wreck. I'll go next. The mountain dogs moved forward carefully, wearing special goggles so they could see in the dark. The ones in front noticed Tako's trap and stopped the rest of the men. Nightingale 7 to Nightingale 1, I just found a wire trap. Be careful coming in. Roger that. Phoenix 1, there are more traps. Why don't we turn the lights back on? Idiot, that will only help them escape more easily. They must be having problems trying to escape in this darkness. We have to give them as much trouble as possible. Corner them in darkness and we'll get them. This is a huge cave system. There must be another way out. They won't try to hide, they'll try to escape. Give the assault units some firearms, bulletproof shields and grenades. The Sonozakis are basically a major Yakuza family. Assume they can counter us with smuggled guns. Which means watch out for those tripwires and claymores, unless you want to end up with thousands of lead pills in your body. They'll shred you apart. Roger. Tako's traps were effective only because they were professionals. Tako had assumed any professionals would misinterpret her traps as more dangerous ones. That's why she ran wires everywhere. And she was right. Although the mountain dogs were successful at breaking down the iron door, they hadn't even reached the torture room. However, the huge cave with the hidden well was just on the other side of the door to the torture room. It was just a matter of time before the enemy caught them. Okay, Reina, you're next. Yep, you come down in a hurry too, Keiichi. Keiichi, how is it up there? Reina's coming down now. She's moving right along. Okay, don't fool. Rumours say that all the people who ever opposed the Sonozaki family were dumped into this well. It's a bottomless pit. What? Shion, what the hell are you carrying around? Shion had returned with a big machine gun in her hands. The heck, Keiichi thought. It's one of those machine guns they use in the movies. What's it called again? Kasai had one in his hands too. He appeared used to handling machine guns. It almost didn't look real, but it seemed like a natural fit for the surreal world lit only by flashlights. Keiichi felt like the odd one out here since he didn't know how to use a gun. Shion and Kasai hid on opposite sides of the cave so they could see the entrance to the torture room. Not only Kasai, but Shion also seemed to be used to doing things like that. Shion, I'll do that. So why don't you go down next? Thank you for the manly offer, Keiichi, but it'd be much quicker if you went down swiftly than if I had to explain how this Kalashnikov works. Don't worry, a pretty girl like me will never die. As Shion winked at Keiichi, they heard a door being knocked down nearby. Immediately, Shion and Kasai's looks turned stern, and they took cover behind the rocks, aiming their guns into the darkness. The enemies had entered the torture room. There was a flashlight next to the door. Kasai had left it there. The mountain dogs seemed to be able to see in the darkness, even though they couldn't, so it was an improvised solution. The footsteps of the mountain dogs were growing closer. They were passing through the torture room. In other words, the door was the only thing separating them from their enemies. Keiichi, hurry! Shion, you go first. Shion. If something happens to you and I live, my sister will never forgive me for that. I don't have my loved one anymore, but she does. Huh? What are you talking about now of all times? I don't plan to die, but please tell Shion this. I want us to be twins again in the next life. Get going, Shion yelled, telling Keiichi to move on. He didn't understand why Shion said to tell Shion. I didn't even notice that. But she asked him, so he had to convey that message. I guess that like, I'd always wondered if that really was true, or if that was like me on Shion's ramblings. So, the person currently known as Mion was born and named Shion, and the person currently known as Shion was born and named Mion, who was the older sister. Hair down is older sister, ponytail is younger sister, but due to an accident in their youth, they swapped places and sort of been stuck in that swap ever since. Otherwise, if something terrible really happened, Shion's message would never reach Mion. An explosion shook the air. Something was thrown in from the torture room. The explosion from that and the noise from Kasai's machine gun sounded at the same time. The clamour echoed in the cave. All I can do as these violent flashes of light burn the series of images into my eyes, shed tears over my own intolerable powerlessness, and climb down the ladder. Mion quickly screamed from below. I descended and screamed up to the top too. Nightingale 1, they attacked us. The enemies are trying to stop us from the huge cave on the other side of the torture room. There were 2 muzzle flashes, probably AKs. Whoever it is, he's a professional. Phoenix 1, give us an order. There we go. Our opponent is a professional. Don't go in unless you graduated from the killing house. Nightingale 1 and 2, Phoenix 7 and 8, get ready to move in. How many firearms do we have? We have 4 MP5s and plenty of grenades. We can't trust a bulletproof shield, so we abandon them. There is a flashlight on the right next to the entrance. I'm assuming they don't have a device to see in the dark. Nightingale 1 here, we're going in. Throw in some stun grenades when I give you the signal. While the enemies were quiet, Kasai changed his magazine. Shion, that's enough. Please, go. If I go, they'll all fire at you while you reload. You can't do it by yourself. There was a contradiction in what Shion just said. According to a theory, the last 2 can never escape. Mion kept shouting from the tunnel below. Damn it, Shion! Hurry up and come down! Everyone knows it wasn't safe to say, but nobody could stop Mion from screaming. Mion and I will wait for Shion here. Reina, why don't you take everyone else and escape into the hills? Okay. No, I don't want to lose anyone. Rika. This is the final world. There is no more starting over. I don't want either Shion or Kasai to die. I don't want a future like that. I know we can't redo it. No, I don't want it. Shion, please come down. As they looked up to the top of the well, they saw a violent flash and heard a roar. Then they heard explosive sounds, different from the sounds of the machine guns that Shion and Kasai were using. They also heard a tinkling sound, which could have been that of bullet shells. They couldn't see anything other than the flashing lights. Only the noise reached them. When everything stopped, after a little silence, footsteps that didn't belong to Shion or Kasai gathered at the top of the well. They could hear hard-soled shoes kicking the bullet shells as they walked. It's clear. Nightingale 1 to Phoenix 1, we've secured the loopholes. That voice echoed down the well, and Mion and the others heard it too. They didn't know how to react. Some became speechless, some started to cry, some let out a wordless scream. They looked up at the well as they waited for Shion and Kasai to come down, but there was no sign of them. A bright beam of light shone down from the top of the well. Ire grabbed Mion and Keiichi's collars and pulled them back, but they could see in the dark. They might already know that Keiichi and the others were hiding at that horizontal tunnel. Roger, we'll try. Can you hear us? You don't need to reply, just listen, a guy shouted from the top of the well. We want the Queen Carrier, Rika Furude, and Dr. Kyosuke Irie. You've misunderstood something. We're here to eradicate a unique local disease. What's happening right now is because we suspect the director's involvement in a conspiracy. You have nothing to do with this. Turn them over to us. They'd already turned all the flashlights off, so nobody could tell what kind of expressions were on each other's faces. But I could sense Mion's expression distorting. And because of the darkness, nobody knew to stop her from screaming. Murderer! You killed Shion! Oh, you're talking about this girl? Don't worry, she's still alive. She's just unconscious. She's alive. She's alive, Mion. Mion didn't rest easy at their announcement, though, because she knew Shion's survival wouldn't help resolve the situation. Same with the guy. He's alive too. But if we refuse to turn those 2 over to us, we'll have to use them both as bargaining chips. What are you going to do to them? As Mion looked up to the top of the well, in the dark, it suddenly became very bright, and she saw something unbelievable. Shion was unconscious, and one of the men was holding her. He was basically sticking her body out over the edge of the well. If the man let go of Shion, she'd fall to the bottom. They had no idea how far it went. There was no way she'd survive. Shion! Shion didn't reply, but she moved just a little bit. She was alive, at least for the moment. No way. They won't push her off. Huh? What are you saying? They can easily kill a hostage if they have more than one. They have Shion and Kasai. He'll push Shion off and just ask the same question again. He means it. Mion lashed out fiercely at Keiichi. He regretted saying what he just did. I'll give you a little time to think, but after 60 seconds, this first hostage will go down. Think it over very carefully. What should we do? Mia was half crazed with fear and panic. They want me. Let them think Rika has already escaped. I'll go. They should be satisfied with just me. That plan sounded like the best idea for minimalising damage, but Reina quietly spoke up. No, Shion and Kasai risked their lives to buy time so we could escape. If you went back, what they did would be wasted. Then what do you suggest we do? You saying we should let her die? You saying you don't care if she dies, Reina? Damn you! Please stop, Mion. I don't know what to do either, because Shion's my Nini. Shion! Mion started to cry as she held Toko's head. The mountain dog's beam of light shone into the horizontal tunnel. The rise had grown used to the darkness, so even with a little light they could sort of see one another. But so what? This was a desperate situation, and Mion and Toko continued to cry. Reina bit her lower lip, trying to hold her feelings in. Irie simply looked down. And as for Rika and Hanyuu, they were restless. What do we do, Hanyuu? I don't know what to do. I don't know either. Hey, you're a god, aren't you? Do something. Do something. Use your psychic powers to knock the enemies down. Help Shion. Only a miracle can save her. You're a god. Make a miracle happen. Slap. They all heard a strange sound. Everyone was surprised to see what caused it. Hanyuu just slapped Rika in the face. Rika, listen to me. Hanyuu? We both have experienced many worlds, and we've learned much. Sometimes you learned, and sometimes I learned. We've learned so many important things, and now in this world we've learned the most important thing. Something we've been pursuing, something we finally got. Do you know what that is? It was how to make a miracle happen. A miracle is like a number you get on the die. People think the result of the roll depends on God's mood. God holds the key to miracles. Humans don't have the right to control them. But although humans don't have the right, they can perceive. They can perceive how to improve their odds and how they can make a miracle happen. How to make a miracle happen? Rika, you should already know. You learned it before I did. This world must be precious to you. Why don't you try it, this one last time? Ah. Rika's mouth hung open. That's right, she thought. I'd forgotten again. How to make a miracle happen. You will go ahead and escape. Rika stood up. Everyone was surprised to hear what she said. Irie, take them. I'll go out there. Takano means to kill us both, but she wants to kill me in a certain way, so she won't kill me for a while. Are you kidding? You'll end up dead anyway. I don't go. Shion and Kasai will be killed. I'll let them capture me. The time it will take Takano to kill me will give you a chance to counterattack. Rika. Thinking about it now, the answer was very simple. As she spoke, Rika stepped out of the horizontal tunnel and reached the ladder. The beam of light shone down upon her. In this dark world, her figure seemed almost holy, like someone receiving divine revelation. Because we all believe we can win. You, me, and even God believe in it. This is nothing. Ah! Rika's smile told them that she trusted them 100%. She believed someone would rescue her before she got killed. That was why she didn't mind letting the enemy capture her. If it would save Shion and Kasai's lives, then it was nothing. I'm coming up right now. Pull Shion back, okay? The mountain dogs pulled Shion's body away from the edge of the well. If you even think of touching my friends, I'll bite my tongue and kill myself. Takano wants to kill me personally, so if that happens, you'll be in big trouble, okay? Alright, come on up. Let all of my friends go. According to your plan, they'll all die anyway. No, we can't do that. We won't kill them, but we have to restrain them. Well, that's a pity. Farewell. It'll be faster to let go of this ladder than to bite my tongue. This is a very deep well. If you can't produce my corpse, then that ruins your plans too, doesn't it? As long as they captured Rika, the mountain dogs didn't really care about the others. They were ready to kill the rest if they resisted once they had Rika. That's why they wouldn't agree to Rika's request. They started to think that maybe they should just lie to her. But that was when they heard something. Hanyuu started to speak in a clear voice. It was a voice with a very mysterious tone. It sounded like it was coming from below the surface of the earth, but also like it also sounded like it was coming from heaven. I'm really worried because Hanyuu's got the possessed eyes, as I called him. She spoke. I am saying I accept the deal. Quit complaining and do as she says, lowlifes. Rika Furude is coming up. You will fulfill her little request. Heaven will not provide to those who won't offer anything themselves. Stop thinking above yourselves, humans. Know your place and the sin of pretending to be more. Nightingale 1, the member who'd been demanding their surrender, was suddenly overcome by a strange sensation. He'd been in such an advantageous position, but somehow it didn't seem that way anymore. That girl's voice, there was something strange about it. The voice belonged to something both holy and sacred. He instinctively sensed it. Humans can only negotiate with other humans. It's impossible to negotiate with a being greater than all humans. Wait, I'll check with the commander. Wait a minute. Nightingale 1 to Phoenix 1? He'd been very threatening until just a minute previous, but he'd grown completely perplexed. Everyone was stunned by Rika and Hanyuu's mysterious auras. We will come rescue Ray. Right away, okay? Rena muttered as she tried to hold back her tears. Okay, we'll accept your request. We'll let everyone else go. Rika Furude, you come up. Major Takano says there's something she wants to talk to you about. Okay, I'm coming up. Nipa. And on that nuclear bombshell, we are going to end stream off here. I'm going to say thank you very much for watching. It is very, very much appreciated, and I do hope that you enjoyed. I will be streaming Nier Automata this Saturday, where we are going to be hunting down some of the lore that I don't have, and also working on the side quests that I haven't completed yet. Then on Sunday it'll be Destiny 2, where we're going to be doing the new story stuff from Season of the Chosen, and also actually this time doing the new exotic quest, which I haven't picked up yet. Then on Tuesday it'll be Final Fantasy XIV, where we'll continue to be hanging out, straight up vibing, and continuing to prep for the next expansion by endlessly crying and getting tomestones. And then next Thursday it will be more Higurashi When They Cry, Matsuribayashi, when, I suspect, things will finally come to an end. So take care everybody, have a wonderful evening, do look after yourselves and be excellent to each other, and I shall see you guys on Saturday.